Good morning, everyone. We have all gathered here for this national webinar on the topic AI Virtuality in Reality, hosted by VVM's Sri Damodar College of Commerce and Economics in association with ICFAI Business School, Bangalore. My name is Ms. Akshada Hegde, and I am a faculty at the Department of Computer Science. On behalf of the Department of Computer Science, Sri Damodar College of Commerce and Economics, I would like to extend a warm welcome to the eminent speakers of today's session, Professor Santosh Ribello, Dr. Shweta Puneeth, and Dr. Bharti Malak-Reddy. Our principal, Dr. Preeta Malya, Vice Principal, Dr. Rodney De Silva, my fellow colleagues, and to the enthusiastic audience who have joined for this webinar. It is my request to all the participants attending through YouTube to kindly type in your name and register email ID in the comments. First and foremost, I would like to call upon our principal, Dr. Mrs. Preeta Malya, to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you, Akshada. A very good morning to our respected keynote speaker of the day, Professor Santosh Ribello, all the resource persons, Dr. Shweta Puneeth and Dr. Bharti Malak-Reddy, Vice Principal, Dr. Rodney De Silva, Head Department of Computer Science, Mr. Sumit Kumar, faculty members from this college as well as from other higher education institutions across the country, students, of course, my beloved students, and ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar around the theme Artificial Intelligence, Virtuality into Reality. Before this pandemic hit us, the whole world was talking about Industry 4.0, that is the fourth industrial revolution, which is mainly about using modern smart technology in manufacturing, in all industrial processes. So terms like big data, IoT, iOS, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all this had become part of even my lexicon. I'm nowhere near computer science. I'm from the field of economics. But being in the field of education, these had become a part of our daily discourse. We were talking about all this and how this has to be incorporated into the education, into the programs of study in computer science. We run a BCA program and we also run a BVOC in software technologies. So we are, invested in computer science education. So these had become part of our discussions also. So I believe this pandemic has hastened this process towards Industry 4.0. It has only, brought into the limelight how much IT can do, the potential that IT has to make things much easier for manufacturing. So this webinar is very topical, very timely, and I truly commend the Department of Computer Science for taking this up. And I would also suggest to them that, they need to do this on a more regular basis. It is much easier, I'm finding, to organize webinars than it was to organize, physical seminars. Just like IT allowed anytime, anywhere money, now that we can have resource persons at any time and from anywhere. It was difficult otherwise to get people to come to Goa. And now we are finding that we have access to good quality resource persons across not only the country, from across the globe as well. So I would truly, encourage my colleagues, and all of them are very young. So I would encourage all of them to please do this on a regular basis. It adds to the education of our students. Syllabus is one thing, but doing something like this is extremely important for students. And I also sincerely hope that there are many students who are, part of this webinar. And that the discussions today will start them thinking about what this means for their careers, so that they start preparing themselves. Just to end, I would like to just paraphrase a message that I got today on one of my groups. It says that, standing on the battlefield without sharpening your weapons will not increase your chances of winning. So for that, this is for the students. So please, take full advantage. And I'm sure the resource persons will also not mind if our students, continue to communicate with them. about future in these areas. So with that, I welcome all of you once again, and I'm sure that everyone will have a very productive learning experience.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to request the head of the Department of Computer Science, Mr. Sumit Kumar, to kindly shed light on the theme of the webinar.
Hello, good morning and welcome to today's webinar, AI, Virtuality in Reality. Thank you for taking time out and joining us. I'm Sumit Kumar, Assistant Professor in Computer Science at VVM Sri Damodar College of Commerce and Economics, Margao, Goa. And it's my privilege to introduce the webinar theme, AI, Virtuality in Reality. A few years ago, it was hard to find people having serious discussion on artificial intelligence and machine learning outside academic institutions. It was a fiction science, but now it is taking root in our lives. Though having a robots in daily life is still a few years away, but AI has already had a revolutionary impact on the businesses and consumers globally in many folds. Google search predictions, chatbots, self-driving cars, grading and assessments, forecasting, predicting. British mathematician and World War II codebreaker Alan Turing is widely credited as being one of the first people to come up with the idea of machines that think in the year 1950. His creation, Turing test, is still used today as a benchmark to determine machines' thinkability. In 1980, the rise of personal computer sparked even more interest in AI, but it took around 2 to 3 decades for people to recognize the AI's true power. Currently, since last couple of years, AI and creating intelligent systems is the hot topic in discussion and realization for the giant thinkers, academic researchers, and industries. There are many opinions as to what AI can and can't do in real world scenario. The challenge is how academic and industry leaders would have a realistic opinion about the capability of artificial intelligence in solving real world problems. Also, the faster adoption of artificial intelligence by the real world lies in the fact that how fast academic and AI practitioners get engaged with industry experts to further develop the AI's academic foundations. Though there are concerns and occasional discussion about potential doomsday scenarios, but there is a consensus that when used for good, AI could radically change the world scenario and quality of life. In today's webinar, we'll try finding the concerns as to how artificial intelligence and machine learning in reality changing or has the capability to change the real world. The webinar will specifically focus upon recognizing the value of artificial intelligence and machine learning in business, business analytics, how it is being used to amplify the data value, artificial intelligence in India Vision 2020. So I extend my warm welcome to today's eminent speakers of the webinar, the keynote speaker, Professor Santosh Ribello, Professor and Dean at AIMIT St. Aloysius, Bangalore, Dr. Sweta Punit, Faculty IT Systems at ICFAI Business.
Thank you, sir. It is my request to all the participants, if you have any queries during the presentations, kindly type your questions in the chat box. We shall take note of your queries and address them during the Q&A session. It's now time for the keynote address. I would now like to request my colleague, Mrs. Namita Nevrekar, to kindly introduce the first speaker of today's session.
Good morning to one and all. It is my privilege to introduce the keynote speaker of today's national webinar, Professor Santosh Ribello, Professor and Dean of the School of Information Technology and Bioinformatics, Aloysius Institute of Management and Information Technology, St. Aloysius College, Bangalore. Professor Ribello, an academician, following his passion of teaching for past 19 years at St. Aloysius College, holds research and master's degree in computer science, philosophy, business administration, and human resource management. Sir has authored 2 books on neural networks published by Lambert Publishers, Germany. He has presented and published 63 papers in national and international conferences and 3 video lectures on design thinking series at UGC NRC, New Delhi. Sir Ribello has delivered 81 guest lectures on ITES, enterprise computing, and smart technology, social, mobile analytics, and cloud technology. Sir has undertaken 36 consultancy projects in the field of e-commerce, design thinking, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. Professor Ribello is actively involved as a chairman of Board of Studies and Board of Examination for the MCA, MSc courses at AIMIT. He is the project lead of Rishi, Erasmus project for the internationalization of the institution in India from European Union. Sir is also the coordinator for the Center for Bioinformatics by Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India, New Delhi. He is also the president of the Institute's Innovation Council from MHRD and single point of contact for industry-academia interaction, partnership, and collaboration. Sir is also the coordinator of Entrepreneurship Cell by Vadhwani Global University and Digital Innovation Center at AIMIT. Professor Ribello is a member and advisor for CSI, Indian Society for Technical Education, Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, ICT Academy, IIPS Society, Analytics Society. It gives me immense pleasure, sir, to welcome you as the keynote speaker for the national webinar on AI, Virtuality in Reality. I request, sir, to please take over the session. Thank you.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, would like to thank the management and the principal faculty of Sri Damodar College, Goa, and would like to congratulate on this auspicious occasion that they're completing 50 years of this college, and they have trained young leaders from this particular institution. I had a privilege of having many students who worked actually under me for the master degree courses, and they have done extremely good, and they're working in Bangalore, Pune, and in Goa. So I would like to congratulate the whole college for this particular. Yeah, one second. I just have some questions. Okay. Dr. Preeta, yes, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank you because then I didn't meet you personally, but I just always had an opportunity and chat with you. Thank you, madam. I'm very sure that you have come and you had an opening address. So I will have a note of that. Thank you. So I would like to thank the head of the departments, and I remember Bikuda Bhave sir, who has come all the way from Goa to Bangalore, and I remember my good old friend Ekta Agarwal ma'am. So all of you, and I'm very sure that we have the resource persons Shweta ma'am and Bharati is joining already to this particular event. So I'm very sure I can start ahead. With your permission, can I just go ahead with my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Please help me. My screen is visible. My screen is visible, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So let's talk about the AI in virtuality. So I will not take much time. So I think this is some of that. This is a picture that probably we have seen most of the time, like how industrialization happened. So I'm very happy that Dr. Preeta Mallya, the principal, right in the beginning, she has mentioned about the industry 4.0 revolution. Look at that industry 1.0. We had a privilege of having something called as the work that is almost mechanized in the singular form. That means, it was the beginning, maybe in the 17th century, 18th century. And after that, there was a time, it was something called as, post 19th century, you had something called as the sequence. Okay. So production lines were established. There were a lot of manufacturing replication. It has come in automobiles, clothes sector, every sector, there was something called as automation happened. But this automation was without computers. So we have to remember that. But when it came in industry 3.0, there was a massive change that happened because computers came into the forefront, and the offices which were actually working, I remember people are working with the typewriters. Everything has been replaced in industry 3.0 with respect to computers, and it has gone to an extent of something called as even 3D printing. So you can see that. But today we live in industry 4.0. Probably after 2010, we have actually gone to a much deeper sense. So the industry 4.0 is what ma'am was talking about. So there are certain technologies which have actually reshaped the whole industry in terms of its total perception. So certain technologies that have come in forefront are something like cloud computing, mobile applications, social media, which is also a very prominent thing that we are using today, mobile application and mobile application development, or we talk about something called as data science, big data analytics, etc. Then there is another area that is coming up or is already emerged right from 1956 till date. It is artificial intelligence or machine learning or deep learning in this domain. There are areas where people are talking about edge computing, which is also a combination of many technologies. People are talking about something called as the area of augmented, virtual, and hybrid reality. And we talk about something like Internet of Things, or there is also Cisco's point of view. You have fog computing, the other areas that are happening. There are large-scale applications are getting into it, where embedded systems are becoming very popular, where the software and hardware doesn't want to stay separate, where everything is go hand in hand. So therefore, there is a massive revolution that's happening. So that just take an example. Look at our classrooms. Whatever happened, just before Corona, these technologies were there. Whatever you talk about, the popular applications like GoWebinar, you have Zoom, we have Microsoft Teams. None of them are new, or Google Meet. Nothing is new. They were there, but we were not using in academia very efficiently. But I'm very sure that post-Corona, this has become the medium to which we can reach out. Madam rightly pointed out, not only at a state level or national level, but at an international level. Only with the time zone difference, but I'm very sure we can able to reach out at any point of time. So things have changed, and several business models have actually becoming different after the Corona or COVID effect, whatever we are talking about. So I'm not getting into it, but I restrict to the theme of today that we talk about AI and virtual reality. So I will be just starting off, and I'm very sure that we have two more experts like Shweta ma'am and Bharati, Dr. Bharati and Dr. Shweta. I'm very sure that they'll be elaborate more after when I just start ahead with this particular discussion. So I'm very sure that they are coming up with different models and a lot of other things. So what basically we talk about artificial intelligence. When I was just started my journey with artificial intelligence way back in 2003, this is my almost 17 year of artificial intelligence when I'm just dealing with. I remember those days, several universities and engineering colleges were taken off the syllabus from artificial intelligence, that nothing is going to work because people started building on this. And like 1990s, late 90s, because most of the algorithms came from the mathematicians in the year 1950s, 60s. But between that, there was absolutely a silent zone, like nothing was happening. And because of which people were like, 1980, it was something like it was very prominent, 1980 to 1990 or something like that. But more concrete is not happening. Robots were happening, but not other areas of computer science, because computers were just introduced and the technologies were very bad. Like we had very low level applications and all those things. So things were not going smooth. So people were thinking, why exactly we have to waste time on artificial intelligence? So the syllabus was withdrawn in most of the universities. But I was very sure that somewhere or the other, it is going to change. And it was one way it is good, because I was working as a part of Autonomous Institute, which probably has a mechanism where the syllabus or the curriculum can be designed with the need of the hour, and that made me to work continuously in areas such as computational intelligence, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, then soft computing, fuzzy genetics, so many things, which are connected with that. And I'm very sure that today we are living in a world where every sphere is actually getting affected by means of these disruptive technologies. Okay, we call them as the disruptive technologies. Now, let me just talk about the artificial intelligence, how artificial intelligence is being defined. Okay, so when I was doing a lot of research on these areas, I was just got these 4 important points actually. And the first thing, it acts humanly. Okay, that is the most important. So when the computer acts like a human being, so computers succeed when the differentiation between the computer and human is not possible. So that is, first is acting. Second is thinking. Now remember that thinking, computer cannot do it independently. It is very difficult for the computer to act independently. But what I can say, like the programming that we do with respect to introspection, psychological testing, or we talk about brain imaging, these are something which makes think like humanly. And the third thing we talk about is something called as think rationally. So studying how humans think using standard enables creation of guidelines. There is something called as human behaviors, or we talk about the psychomotor behaviors of those are going to think rational part of it. And the last one, we talk about acting rationally, where you study humans, where how do they act, think and act. So if all these 4 things are accumulated, that forms an artificial intelligence, which means that acting in a human way, thinking like a human, thinking in a rational, because this is something which is very important for us, because and acting more rational and concrete, like that is where exactly it makes a device totally different from something called as the is similar to that of human being. So I'm very sure that this is the first part. So there are 3 important domains that have emerged: artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. I'm very sure that whenever you do little research on this artificial intelligence, you will definitely find these 3 important domains. So you need to find out what is the difference between these 3. Okay, there are several other domains, but the key domains that I'm going to touch on is AI, ML, and DL. Okay, these are the 3 important things. So from the definition, you may not be able to figure out, but I have a next screen. So I can just say the artificial intelligence is any technique that enable computers to mimic human intelligence, which I told you in the first screen, using logic. If then, we are using the looping conditions, and you have decision trees, machine learning, everything. So now the machine learning, deep learning becomes a subset of artificial intelligence. So that is a part of what we talk about as the entire artificial intelligence. Now coming back to the machine learning, which is actually a sandwich, it forms somewhere in the middle, a subset of AI that includes the abstruse statistical technique that enables machine to improve the task with experience. Now here the learning happens. What are the learning methods that are possible over here? And I just want to tell you there are supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning techniques. Okay, so I may not be able to take the all algorithms that I normally teach in the classes, and but I can just tell you, in a supervised, you have a specific training set, you have a target, and the entire what I can call as the network has to be trained accordingly. But when it comes to unsupervised, you do not have a specific target, and sometimes the relative sets have been given. You are not being given a very, very specific training set. So reinforcement, where it is something called as I just got a new knowledge, I'm going to substitute that new knowledge into that point. So this is something called the machine learning part, also is also it's an integral part. Now getting into the deep learning part, where you're connecting yourself with the discrete models of big data or data mining, and you're using effectively the neural networks, which is my key domain. So one of the key domains that I really work on, subset of machine learning, which composed of algorithm that permit software to train itself to perform the task. Like you can have speech recognition, image recognition, or you're supposed to use some sort of multi-layer neural networks actually at this moment. So all these things will come a core segment. So obviously deep learning becomes again a subset of machine learning. So I'm very sure that this particular structure is very clearly understandable structure for you. So when you use artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, they are not synonyms that can be replaced with each other. So it is artificial intelligence is a broad spectrum. Machine learning, I can call it, is right at the center, and deep learning goes what I can call is more discrete in terms of processing the data. So that means you need to understand the clear difference. Now, this is again, I have just did some more study where artificial intelligence concept was started 1950s. I've just put this word, but I'm very sure that it has started a little early. I know, I hope, I just wanted to give a clue to you, you heard about a guy called Alan Turing. Okay, and you heard about Turing machine. That Turing machine has been developed, and there are a lot of things that have been actually spoken. One of the best British scientists in terms of computer science, and even till date, you do not have a Nobel Prize for the best scientist for computer science, but it has been given as Alan Turing Award. And the last project, if you see of before his death, it was on artificial intelligence. So there were some clues. In fact, in terms of artificial, it was started at least 5 to 6 years before of 1950, but it has started officially from 1950 in terms of the what I can call a conference and all that. And 80s machine learning is obviously started. There was a boom because most of the algorithms were started getting into application level right at the 1980s. So, and deep learning got very popularity after the emergence of big data and data mining tools, which are getting into more saturated form or getting into the higher levels. So machine learning has broad potential across industries, and I can say some sort of case studies. So look at some of the, I'm having certain case studies across the sectors. And because my talk is more about business, and I was more talking about the case studies and the application. So in that scenario, just taken up at the first slide, where agriculture, finance, pharmaceutical, automotive, healthcare, public social, consumer, manufacturing, telecommunication, energy, media, travel, transport. So if you have impact score, this is a McKinsey. If you can see, the McKinsey is the data that is very recent one. And if you have the priority list actually from 0 to 10 and impact score, so you can see how exactly the things are going to vary. So you are going to find out fraudulent transaction. I just give an example. The income tax department in the government of India today is using these tools very efficiently. They were able to identify several such fraudulent money laundering cases, money laundering cases, and there are so many areas they are able to use it very effectively today. And there are areas such as, I can give you areas like banking and financial sectors where people are using this in a very efficient manner. You're using it in investment banking, where you have to tell your customers that which is the stock that he's supposed to buy, actually, which is that stock with respect to in terms of which is the stock that will give you a better yield. By studying the historical data, by applying the machine learning and deep learning aspect, and he has to get a clear picture so that it should help him in getting a good decision making. You talk about airlines, it is working on that. We talk about most of, I'm very sure that future transportation or railway system, everything is going to work on this particular area. But that also, please remember that whenever we are going more and more technical, it also invites another enemy that's called as cybersecurity. Though it's not a part of today's discussion, but I'm very sure that cybersecurity is one of the areas that need to be concerned. Say, for example, your car is completely automated, and it can be, I'm very sure that the next year there are cars will be rolled out on Indian roads which will be having satellite connection. I mean, say like somebody else can control, and you have imagine your car is getting locked, so you will have a problem. These are some of these things. So I just don't want to touch on these areas, but I'm very sure that the more and more we expose to technology, also there are certain people who want to take advantage of that. But at the same time, the potential of using the technology and its advantages are very, very high. I'm very sure that Government of India has introduced several such key programs. I'm very sure that nowadays they're using that Aadhaar is a platform for recognizing each and every Indian citizen. I'm very sure that recently there was a launch of property cards. There are states, different states in India, which has already been completely automated their land records, everything. So I'm very sure that one step further of smart, you're using a smart act on that, will put your technology in a different zone altogether. So let's look into the application. So people are using it as an entertainment, e-commerce, education, agriculture, transport, healthcare, even astronomy. I'm very sure that, again, gaming, finance, data security, social media, automotive. I'm just putting it across. Maybe we can have certain questions later on. So in every area that is being used. So if you see, robots are being used today in key applications. I'll just give one example to you. There was a time in the surgical units, I mean, say like where the surgery was conducted, the doctors have to do a surgery. It was like a guesswork. Today, you have robotic surgical units. And what happens to the robotic surgical unit? That means the needle, when it is going to cut somewhere on the patient, remember that before going for a cut, actually, it reads, there's a prediction from IBM, it reads more than 4 lakh articles immediately, which is there on that particular site. And it will then take a decision and a call at that point. So the robotic surgery has made the lives of doctors much easier, and I'm very sure that the benefits have gone back to the patient, because here nothing is a guesswork, but it is a more accurate work that's happening. So most of the things are getting automated. It is in the area of automobiles. I'm very sure some of our speakers will definitely mention. I hope you heard about something called as the drones. So let me just recall the incident that happened before Corona, just in the month of January or something like that, where the Iranian commander was killed by American forces, the NATO forces, somewhere in one of the airports. And you can just go back and see the picture. That happened probably in the month of January 2020 or something like that. And there was an American drone which carries the weapon, and they use this. Look at this, the beauty of this weapon. The same thing is going to be supplied to India now, government to government transfer. But see the whole process that happened. So a device that is actually at a distance of 15 kilometers, that means a drone which is actually hidden completely from all the radars, there in one of the places and 15 kilometers far from an actual car, and fire a missile, and the entire cars will, you can see all those pictures, and the person dies, which is according to them, he is supposed to be the most a person who is wanted person or something like that. Now the question is not about the death of the person or not about the firing, but think about the technology. Remember, this technology, if it falls in the hands of wrong people, what will happen is something called as drones are available for a low price, and you have a gun, and you can actually have a kind of firing that is possible in a virtual space. So that is why I told you, whenever we move towards technology in a much faster manner, the enemy is also there. And please remember that these things, you have to take a note of it. So we are not as safe when you're using the technology, but technology is giving a lot of power and energy in terms of delivering our day-to-day work in a much efficient and effective manner. Coming back to this specific midterm domain. So when I'm talking about applications of machine learning, so you have automatic language translation, which is happening nowadays. You have the devices that have come in the area of Amazon, Alexa, or you have Google Assistant, all these things. So I'm very sure that Alexa is playing a key role, or Google Assistant is playing a key role. These are the two important technologies that what I can call path breaking, and these technologies definitely can get into some other devices in the long run. So we talk about medical diagnosis. I just told about stock market trading. So exactly, you need a decision making. You have something called as online fraud detection, which is being used by the government agencies. You have virtual personal assistant, which Google actually gives you. You have email spam and malware filtering, which is also already available. Self-driving cars. I'm very sure that Indian roads will have at least 5 to 7 years, because we are moving towards electrical vehicles, and once electrical vehicles become very popular and self-driving cars are they're going to be the reality. Traffic prediction, so in which particular direction the traffic has to move. In metropolitan cities, you may not be facing this problem when you are there in places like Bangalore or Goa or something like that, but definitely you have to face this kind of problem when you are in Bangalore. Before Corona, the traffic of Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi is well known in terms of some of the locations. It's very, very terrible in terms of handling this particular traffic. Speech recognition and image recognition, these are some of the top line applications. And I'm very sure that each and everything probably are the best one to take as a case study, and you can read more about it. That is something. So multinational companies such as Microsoft, Google, Intel have launched their machine learning interfaces, applications to solve number of industry-specific challenges in India. And companies like IBM, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, because India they consider is one of the most potential market, because the domestic market size is increasing. I'm very sure that when Dr. Preeta Malle addressed the gathering, like she was telling about the IT is something which is growing up. Now, where this requirement is coming from. So I'm not talking about the requirement may come from European countries or the United States or Canada or other countries, but our domestic requirement is very, very high. There are so many areas which are yet to get into the what I can call as the what I can call as the automation. And in that context, Bangalore or Hyderabad has become the hot spot in terms of getting into the startup hubs. There are a lot of startup hubs that have they came actually today because of the COVID-19 lockdown. Things are going in a different sphere, but I'm very sure that now also a lot of startups are working. I remember that there is a startup which is based on artificial intelligence, Hully Labs, if I'm not mistaken. You can just go back and check out. And this Hully Labs was acquired by Google. And this is one of the acquisitions. This is a Bangalore-based company, and this is the very shortest acquisition by Google in a very, very short term. 4 months just over, and the company has been acquired by Google. So this is what happens if you have a best company over there, which could be having around 8 to 10 people, and you have just started. You're trying to solve a real-time social problem. So it's more important whether it's not important that what technology you're using. The most important thing is what problem you're trying to solve. So that is most important. So most of us actually drift away from the problem. So I'm very sure that in this audience, there are people who are not coming from computer science, who are coming from the other areas. I remember madam was talking, the principal madam, she said about she's coming from the area of economics. But remember that today we are talking about interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary research. And if you want your big data to be successful, your data science is successful, you require mathematics, you require statistics, you require computer science, you require economics. So they're all go hand in hand. If you don't have these technologies going hand in hand, I'm very sure that we will not be able to move further. So that is why I'm just telling there are opportunities for you to really work on. So MNC is targeting AI technologies in the healthcare, retail and fintech sectors. So, in healthcare in India is one of the hot sector. Retail, I'm very sure that Reliance is acquiring more and more retail space, and fintech sector in India has emerged one of the fastest growing because so many fintechs have come immediately after the demonetization in India. So I'm very sure that India is going to be one of the best markets in the world in the coming days. You may be thinking of this corona, people are losing their jobs, like opportunities are not there. Trust me or not, the bounce back when it happens, and media must have reported saying that there are negative figures or something like that. But trust me, where once the bounce back happens, the India has a greater opportunity because we have young people in our country, and I'm very sure that this manpower definitely will be able to help India to grow much faster. So India is ranked third in implementing robotic automation process in core business and processes. So thanks to the efforts that have been put by CDAC in the earlier years when the robots were not there. Now CDAC is actually manufacturing robots in the Bangalore or Pune facility or Hyderabad facility for Government of India for defense research and the other applications. But I'm very sure that now the robotic software solutions are coming from Bangalore as well as the IIIT Hyderabad zone, as well as the what I can call the T hub, or there's another area, I don't know how many of you are aware of, that in Mumbai you have something called as Dhirubhai Ambani Innovation Park, and similarly you have the Greater Noida as well as the Gurgaon area where you have these many startup companies. Because I remember this Oyo room, which is having a great idea that is coming up all the way from Gurgaon and all those places. So I'm very sure that things will change. More youngsters will more youngsters will come forward. They will drift away from the traditional business, and I'm very sure that some things will change in a drastical sense. Okay, so that is something. So let's take up some questions at the end. I'm very sure that I would like to talk about. I can share this. This is what I just spoke in the beginning. You have techniques. On the right side, you have something called supervised, unsupervised, and deep learning. And you have now ensemble learning that is also coming into picture, which is a little on the advanced side. And now we are having something called as the techniques. So in supervised, we normally use classification, logistics, or linear regression, multivariate regression, etc. So that's a part of supervised learning. When it comes to unsupervised, we always go with something called as clustering or NLP, natural language processing. And deep learning is purely getting into more of neural network. And ensemble learning, we have something called as random forest. Now, when it comes to the potential customer problem, so you require to classify the product segment. And predict the machine problems to avoid downtime. One of the major problems, you will get downtime. There was a time where most of the servers were getting into the downtime, but nowadays BC, I don't know how many of you have heard about it. It's a nice area to get into research, or something called as business continuity, which is you can get into some sort of server-based problems with the BC, business continuity. I'm very sure that today we don't face this kind of problem, but yet we don't know when we apply these kind of things whether this BC will be applicable or not. Then it comes in unsupervised, your identification of similarities, where see in database management and data mining, these are the two, data warehouse and data mining and database. The key differences in the database management system, I know what data I want to retrieve and I know where it is. Okay, so please understand, I know what it is. So most of the time, those who share, the similar thing with me in computer science, I just want to tell you that you give a SQL query like select statement or something like that. So you know what exactly you want, you know where it is. But when it comes to data mining, or when it comes to some sort of data analytics, you know what you want, but you don't know where it is. So you have to do a relative association rules or the other rules actually to mine the data and to get the information, because that's a key difference that comes into these two type of data systems, where database is very small, whereas when it comes to data warehouse, it is a vast databases, and it's just a data, it's just collected over there randomly. You have just stored it. There's no much of this one. So unsupervised learning will definitely help that. Solving complex problems and pattern towards intelligent brings using multiple sources like smart. Okay, so that is one more important area. I'll leave with that. The data and input. Now, the first part is something called supervised, where you have very much structured, numeric, string characters, sensory data. You have sensors and the data that comes from the sensors, and that you're going to use it. But when it comes to unsupervised, you have to deal with big data, which is unstructured, imaginary, sometimes numeric, strings, characters, whatever, the sensor data, anything that comes to your mind. And then comes to deep learning, the things will change, where you have different type of data altogether, multi-structured data. That is what exactly coming into it. And now let's get into the application part, but I'll deal the application. Now, specifically when I'm talking about machine learning and AI application, the predictive and prescriptive maintenance. Predictive, so most of the time we talk about predictive. I'm not going to read those things, but I'm talking about predictive analytics. I just wanted to predict, because this is something where you have to do it. I don't know how many of you have heard about that India broke a deal with Russian agency for S-400 tank system. Read more about it than the other one. This is one of the tank systems that incoming missile can be completely blocked actually within a time span of 15 seconds. So you can imagine, to protect the possibility that there could be a war in the future, that government of India has to protect the citizens, and you require such type of systems which are called early warning system or protection system, which can actually block. And remember that there should be accurate prediction. There should be accurate prediction. Your predictions are very, very important. Now, just I'll give you one work to you. Probably you can do it after my session, maybe after madam's sessions. See the aircraft actually. See the aircraft internal segment. You may get a lot of data about that aircraft internal cockpit where the pilot is normally sitting today, and you see the controls over there. Maybe people are actually thinking in terms of only taking off the flight and the flight comes to the runway, the landing of the flight. These are not the key operations, but keeping the flight all the time flying with all the sensors is a major job, because most of the time you can have all the sensors are totally under control. So therefore you can see that one of the flight that Boeing, which is grounded. I'm sorry, I'm not able to. They wanted to have more sensors, and things went against actually the technology, and 2 planes were lost actually in the last year. That is in 2019. 2 flights were lost actually during this entire segment. So over technology also, and the pilots were not able to cope up with the technology, land into disaster, and in one place around 200, another place around 200 people died actually. This is where exactly the problems that happen. Next, look at the companies that are using artificial intelligence. It is rising rapidly. This is the technology mark. So those who are listening to me today, I want to tell you, this is one of the technology. This information technology is one of the domain that from 1965 till date, it has never registered downfall. Today, industries may be down. Say, for example, they have actually on a flattened surface. If you are running in terms of something called as travel and tourism, your baking business or other things must have gone down, but IT has never gone down from 1960. There may be, variations that could come in any industry. These are short term. I have seen a fall in 2008 when most of the financial houses went on a meltdown and economic slowdown happened. 2001 when Twin Towers were attacked and things were not moving very fast. IT has come down in 2 times. I've seen a major blow, but it has picked up very fast compared to that of the other industry. It has picked up very fast, and I'm very sure that today healthcare industry, you see, though it looks like we are taking care of majority of the COVID patients and all that, but healthcare industry is in a total dilemma. That means you ask any of the hospitals today, the hospitals where the patients are now really worried to go, in fact, and most of the hospitals, they are not able to run the show and they have to depend on additional sources. So whereas IT has over a period of time, it has boomed. So I'm very sure that please remember that things like, web technologies, or, whatever it was running in the last 10 years, that was a golden period, 2010, 2001 to 2010, great things that may not run today. So there is a need for you to shift, or there is a need to upskill. There is a need to what I can call as learn, unlearn, and relearn. There is a need to learn, and whatever we have learned, you need to unlearn. So now I can call on the last two. You have to unlearn and you have to start relearning, because you are associated with this industry, because this industry has a potential, and this industry will never stop, because I'm very sure that as long as the businesses are there, IT is the oil, and it has to continue. There is absolutely no doubt about it. The expenditure, I'll trust me, during the last financial slowdown, most of the companies have reduced the expenditure on IT. But whereas this time the things are different. People are not reducing their IT spending down during this COVID time. They are still doing it. Probably hardware may be down. I'm not saying that yet to get the NASSCOM figures. I'm waiting. The NASSCOM figures are not yet out, but I'm very sure that on the software side, we are not going to lose out anywhere. So there is a good news actually, because most of the applications are growing very well. Coming back to the AI services in India, I quote about two companies which are prominent. One is Microsoft, and they have actually given how the companies have used their services. So Microsoft AI actually one of the top application, and they have rated where Accenture is one of the company which has used efficiently. KPMG comes into it. Every segment, you can see that every company is using almost, TCS, Atos, Infosys, EY, which is also in the financial sector, Wipro, HCL, Capgemini, Tech Mahindra, Entity Data, which is a Japanese company, LTI, Emphasis. All the companies have efficiently used Microsoft AI application. So you can see that execution, innovation, and voice of the customer. So, these areas are getting effective. So there was a time where people were attending something called as the, you have customer care number, you used to chat with the customer. Just see today, I'll give an example to you. Go to some of the top, private banks. I'm not talking about the government banks today. Just check out HDFC Bank. Just go to Axis Bank, or just go to Kotak Mahindra Bank and all that. This is a simple example. Just go there. And, there's the pop-up comes. You have a chat bot over there. You got a chat bot, and keep on putting the questions, and the chat bot will definitely give a lot of inputs actually to you. Previously, this particular thing would have happened over the phone, asking some of the customer care executive. Today, most of the customer care centers, they have actually canceled the voice part of it. They are encouraging people to go for more and more what I can call as this type of AI services. Google also in the same run, Accenture, KPMG, Atos, Deloitte. Deloitte is also one of the company based in Hyderabad and other places. Cognizant, Infosys, TCS, Capgemini, Wipro, LTI, Tech Mahindra. These are again using, these are the top 14 companies using what I can call the, in rank wise I've given in terms of as a research. This is 2019 and 20 report will come very short. So HFS report will talk about the efficient use of these companies based in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, or other locations in India. Now, coming back to what are these companies basically do? Okay, what these companies basically do? They embedded connected customer journey. Today you don't have to worry about whether the customer come back. So the customer will be closely monitored by these solutions. These customer analytics will happen. There is something called sentimental analysis. Where what is the sentiment of an analysis of a customer, and that will be given back to the organization. What is the feedback from the customer? What do you think about the product? And these are some of the important customer analytics. So if you're using a social media, so obviously the Facebook analytics is there. That Facebook analytics will be shared. So today the technologies are not operated in a vertical silos. I remember when Android was introduced, it was not compatible with the Apple, or when Apple was introduced, it was not compatible with Android open source. But today there is a cooperation. Today you don't have any problem. So today the companies are not operating under silos. They are actually in line with others. So there is a total integration platform is you can see in terms of the what I can call when it comes to the business houses. Fraud detection, I already mentioned about that. So many companies have happened. You can refer a case study of Punjab National Bank. What happened? How the letter of how the letters are which has been actually misused, and the foreign transaction handler was misused, and this case was reported in 2018 beginning. And you know what happened about the Indian financial segment? None of the government banks were able to come up from that shock. Most of the banks were able to identify that every time that there was some or the other fraud happened, and the bank as well as the enforcement directorate was able to identify a lot of these fraud detections through running through these algorithms. Regulatory compliances, due to the importance of the this again money laundering business. Then you talk about the citizen data science. So today you have a lot of data that is available, that is in the form of citizen data, that's in the form of the Aadhaar and other thing. And I'm very sure that government is going to utilize it. So I'll just give an example to you. Say you have taken a benefit from the government. Okay, there are so many schemes are there. One of the common thing that happened in India is something called as a very traditional system of you are not stating or you're not declaring your, it's not happening in other countries. You're not declaring your financial status in a proper form. I have seen in several cases where the financial, declaration when it comes to the, just an example, the income of a family. And the income of a family is being shown, and you have your tahsildar or somebody has given a letter saying that this particular family is below income family or all these things. Today, what's going to happen in the long run is you've already taken the benefit. So I'm very sure that the income right now, okay, financial segment, government, all income tax department, enforcement directorate, everybody is checking. And remember, in some cases, even the income tax department, enforcement directorate, the CBI, NSA, NIA, National Intelligence Agency, they're all linked with each other and they're using it. So how the money has come, say for example, if there is a terror activity happen, where the money has actually come from, so that can be unearthed. So government is using for the welfare schemes, government is using it for the good governance. They wanted to have a better governance system. So I'm very sure that they are going to use these technologies. They are using it currently. I'm very sure they're using manufacturing. Most of the manufacturing units, they are actually using all these technologies. Retail is one of the area that is actually been one of the prime area where it may be Reliance Retail or any other thing that you're in. So energy, transportation. So I'll just get into it. So India is a home for the third largest cluster in AI startup. I already mentioned about it. And AI startups have developed so many applications and so many acquisitions are happening. Acquisitions are happening from the big companies like IBM or Google or other. So I'm very sure that or there is what we call as intrapreneurship. That is not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is something called as this Infosys, Wipro, TCS. They choose the best guys actually who are well experienced. They're giving a seed money to go for these kind of startups and they acquire the companies. This is happening. Other side, you can see one of the person I have very closely following is Anand Mahindra. You just follow Anand Mahindra. I'm sure that any such application comes in, he will ready to invest on those applications and Mahindra will take over. There's some different concepts are happening. There are big houses targeting at there's a good news because you are there in remote part of the country. Somewhere you're able to pitch yourself in the social media. Your work is visible and there is a possibility like a best company like, I don't know the other company, but I'm very sure that a company like Mahindra will definitely acquire a company of yours. That is for sure, because I have a lot of case studies in terms of Mahindra's acquisition is concerned. So AI, ML and the DL, how it is used in healthcare. So 63% people, when the survey is done, they agree that it is already delivering value today in the healthcare practices. They are delivering the value today with respect to patient care. They're delivering the value at the bedside, the point of care, wherever it is, you have ventilators and other things. and how the cure is happening. Like diabetes is being used on 66% prediction, heart disease prediction, cancer prediction, neurological diseases, infectious diseases. These diseases predictions could have raised. Even people have, during the COVID lockdown, they have come out with plenty of such models which will even predict. I've seen even the IoT based applications for thermal checkup, etc. Okay. Now, just take up an example. The traditional approach of MRI scanning. Look at that. First, you are getting into MRI scan. A scan report will come. A doctor or a radiologist is basically following the what I can call. Okay. Whether you are able to see my screen. Can anyone? Hello? Okay, that's really good.
Sir, the screen is not shared, sir.
Yeah, no. It's fine. I think because there was some problem is happening with the your YouTube. That's what I'm saying. Okay, from my side it's proper. Anything is on Google Meet. It's clear. It's visible. Yeah, I think it's yes. All right, so you can see a radiologist is reading, and after that, a radiologist is highlighting what are the anomalies that are happened. But you see in AI applied, you have a CT scan, a report will come, but again, the machine will read. So look at the right at the first one, they are the neural networks. So I'm not getting into the neural network part. So you have a multi-layer neural network, which will actually read the whole segment, and it will do a prediction based, and then the report will be actually inferences will be drawn out, or we call it as something called as from this particular data, the actual insight is being drawn out. So this is something which is happening. Next is something called as, look at the area that is, post-COVID, many people have gone into crops or agriculture, and the smart agriculture is actually happening. The yield or everything. So you can see there the crop yield prediction. So when exactly the right time, I'm just covering few areas. Then when the spray should happen, intelligent spray business, that means it will be giving a sense. You have sensors all across, and the sensors are the one which will actually giving a control. Look at the traditional farmer's house and look at the farmer's house today, who is well experienced. So today, I'm very sure that there are good number of people in India. I remember Madhu, who is actually from Organic Mandia, who is a guy actually who's Mandia is a place in Karnataka, in fact, and how exactly he brought a revolution. There is one more organization that is already been brought up by I think Walmart or Flipkart, one more card from Bangalore. So a lot of things are happening in this area. So agriculture is booming up with the new technologies. So crops and soil monitoring, the soil test, and which is the right thing that need to be given, the sprays actually to be given, how the disease diagnosis, there is the early prediction of disease is possible, so you can protect yourself, and also rain and other things. So look at that, future farms could look like this. So you're not worried about a large farm space, smaller farm space, but effective farm space, which remembers me the Japanese concept of farming. So Japan doesn't have a much bigger spaces like how India is having, but you have the devices. So you have a tracking devices where your cows are moving, in fact. So what they're doing, you have everything. So you have a digital device. So I'm telling you, this area is quite open. Any youngsters who are listening to me, this area is quite open to do a lot of such innovation. I'm very sure that you will take it up because you have the energy. So as I mentioned about the machine learning in finance, so financial monitoring, investment prediction, process automation, you have a secure transaction. So wherever you do it, because Government of India is promoting secure transactions actually. We talk about risk management, algorithm trading. You have this algorithm is very important when the trade is concerned. Financial advisory, the third party, like a mutual fund. So you're talking about customer data management, decision making, customer service, or your customer retention program like a CRM. where you have two options, either to acquire a new customer or you have to retain the customer. So to retain the customer, periodically you have to connect to the customer and you have to give them what are the benefits that they will be getting. The what you call as a lot of other things like loyalty programs, etc., and marketing. One of the domain where a large number of people are using it is an effective tool. So I'm sure that all these financial houses in a large scale, they are going to use this particular concept very effectively. Yeah. So okay. Yeah, well. Next, let me just talk about, it's already touched. So the new areas of AI ML will impact global banking. I'm sorry. You have, see, India is already getting into the global banks. You have seen Government of India very clearly in the last 1 year. They are merging the banks. Okay, they're merging the banks. So government is very clearly told, we don't want too many small banks. We want global banks. So many banks have been merged to bring the banks at the forefront at internationally top 50 banks or something like that, which means that when that space become empty, okay, when you are having an account with one bank and you wanted to have, so obviously there will be a lot of private players coming. There will be a possibility like in tier 2 cities. I'm not saying tier 3 or tier 4, but tier 2 cities, there could be introduction of foreign banks like Citibank and other banks, which are, they're not ready to get into that particular segment. That could happen now, where the trade strategy, algorithm basketing, and retail banking, wealth management, trade surveillance, I'm not explaining to it, and fraud detection, your data products, your payments, everything will be monitored. That's important. So I'm getting into something called as automotive industry, even car industry. Let me just talk about the personal vehicle. One of the industries booming up. This is industry which is, I was just reading about the Tatas. It was raised, 103% post-COVID increment. Why people don't want to travel by bus? Because the worry of corona is there, and because of that, the car industry is actually doing very well. 130% overall automobile industry's growth as a consignment. And there are chances like the smart cars will come on the road in the next year, that is 2021 on, because a lot of research is happening now. And there are importantly, you highlight autonomous driving, connected vehicles, mobility as a service where the cloud is involved, and the smart manufacturing. The smart manufacturing is something where the robots are being used completely. Naturally, people used to know. I remember visiting the Manasa plant of this one where you are having normally putting the screws, everything, but today the robots will put all the screws and all that. You don't have to do anything. So mobility as a service where the cloud will be connected with you, and so many cars are already connected with the cloud. And look at the autonomous driving. I'll come back to that. This is a normal human driving in most of our case, those who are driving your car. Now look at that assisted driving with the level 4. First, what happens? Look at that, feet off. So you're not using your ABC, accelerator, clutch or brake. So you may control only with your joystick or your steering or something like that. Second, hands off, and you're partially automated. That means you're neither using your leg nor your, what you call as your steering. And the third is automatically your eyes off, so you don't have to worry about, the car will go. And finally, your mind is off. You can just go in that particular car, just put a location. It will just follow that particular location. That means location A to B. Location A to B will be easily transferred. You're moving from one location to another location with the help of GPS. So I'm very sure that the vehicles will come. There's already Mahindra has done an announcement of this type of vehicle on Indian road where they have a satellite connection and you'll be having some sort of automation and all those things. So I'm very sure things will be changing from 2021 completely. And you have connected vehicles. So you have smart homes. So your vehicle is getting connected. Your smart cities, because India has already announced 40 to 50 already smart cities have been announced. So the cameras will be connected, that network. So you'll be connected with the robotic assistant, internet access, so many things. So your car is being an integral part of the other network, your traffic. Wherever there is a, that could be whatever you have, the networks which are already existing. your car gets connected to it. I just wanted to another two more area. One is called retail. Retail is something where AI is being used for the maximum cost saving, because you will not be able to figure out which is that particular thing that is being lost out, or which is that particular thing that getting spoiled or something like that. More productivity, more revenue may come. Reliance is actually getting into larger on this space. Similarly, you have the other retail spaces like the retail group of Birla and Walmart, which is entering to India through what I can say Flipkart and other thing. So I'm very sure that they are going to use it in this one. Let's see this machine learning uses in retail. So they would like to get into demand prediction, then keep the pricing, whether you have to keep a higher pricing, then you have to skim it and go for a market penetration. So what exactly would like to do it? So you have a logistic part of it, merchandising, and you have a personalized offer, because always we like, when someone takes care of us very well and they remind us of birthdays, they remind us some special, they give some offers. Or who will do that? Personally, it is not possible for you to do it, but computers has to do that. There is something called fraud detection, churn prediction. So how many people may leave your, they leave the brand loyalty and they move on to some other brand. So that could be predict earlier, and your location can be optimized. You can always feel about sentiment. So for example, people are searching for a laptop. So already that search is there. That search can be passed actually to the electronic companies, so that understand the sentiment, what exactly is looking out at, and give only that part to him. So all these things are possible. So look at Walmart is one of the company which is entered India, not directly, indirectly through what I can say, I'm getting Facebook, sorry, the Flipkart. The Flipkart is the Walmart's part now. So I'm very sure that Walmart will increase its this one, and Walmart make use of machine learning technology to map better delivery routes, more efficient routes, faster checkout, and better recommendation of products to the customers on individual browsing and purchase history. This is what I told you for the previous slide. Okay, so since I have a limited time, I'm going to go a little on a faster side. Amazon is one more thing. I'm very sure this is one of your popular brand. It applies machine learning on customer data, make an accurate forecast what product exactly is looking out at, detect the frauds, and customer specific product recommendation. I'm very sure that product recommendation is happening right now in Amazon. I'm sure all of you have seen that. And my last segment is educational technology. After the introduction of NEP 2020, one of the government's greatest plan, that area is completely changing. So we are not going to follow 1837 Macaulay's old education system anymore. So NEP 2020 has given a power to all of us that think very innovatively and different areas. So one of the prime area for the government is using most of the educational technology, education at any time, round the clock, education platforms. We started using it, but in a much better manner, and virtual mentors. So I'm very sure that this is happening. There are a lot of such, before COVID itself, I have attended two seminars on educational technology. Unfortunately, after that, the lockdown happened to meet what I can call one of the leading companies, vice president from Japan. So where they want to enter India in a larger scale, personalization, deep involving into education process, ability to detect weakness of a student, and something more can be done in the area for that particular student, which is called something we call it as remedial curriculum in an automatic form. So it could be given. So your entire evaluation, assessment, learning, completely getting into automated LMS. So I hope some of you heard about Baidu. Baidu is actually a Chinese application, but I'm very sure that Baidu will never come to India now. So that will, because government of India has blocked most of the applications. So I'm sure Baidu will not. But I'm very sure that has given a tremendous opportunity for the educational technology groups such as Byju's in Bangalore, or Vedantu, which is in Gurgaon, or the other places, definitely they can explore the place. And there are so many startups in education technology in Mumbai, especially in Mumbai. So they are going to take a benefit from this, and the learning management system may be a reality in almost every school and the college. This is going to happen, and probably the best part right now, majority of you are using LMS in the form of Moodle or something. Continue using it because that is good. So I've just put it something. The third space learning, Little Dragon, Brainly, CTI, Carnage Learning. Some of you must have heard about Carnage Learning, which is used in management, and Tinker Math. So these are some of the applications are currently there. You can go to this and find out these are some of the things. Apart from that, I told you about Baidu, but I'm not sure about Baiju as introduced with the artificial intelligence and Vedantu also. But I'm very sure in the coming days they will definitely get into it because they are a wonderful team. So think bigger. You have to experiment and you may fail. I don't know, and learn and repeat. And a creative man motivated by desire to achieve, not by the desire to beat others. This is with that note I wanted to close. This is my contact. Now is the time for question and answer. So you have any questions, you can go ahead with that. Yeah. Thank you for the organizers.
Thank you, sir. Your session was absolutely engaging and enlightening. We will take question and answers towards the end.
Okay.
Now, without further ado, let us move on to the next speaker for today. I would like to call upon my colleague, Mrs. Shweta Verikar, to kindly introduce the next speaker.
It is my privilege to introduce to the participants our next resource person, Dr. Sweta Puneet. Ma'am, Dr. Sweta Puneet, Faculty IT Systems from ICFAI Business School, has a rich experience of over 16 years in academics and industry. She has handled courses on e-business, IT-enabled systems, business analytics, and data mining. She has presented several research papers at various national and international conferences and has conducted several MDPs at Modi Rubber Private Limited Company and Nationalized Bank and FDPs at reputed graduate colleges. Ma'am's areas of interest in research are cloud computing, text mining, and Internet of Things. She holds a master's degree in computer science and a postgraduate diploma in information technology and management. A PhD is in the area of text mining from Banastali Vidyapit. Ma'am, it is our pleasure to have you for this webinar, and I request you to begin the next session for enlightening our participants with the knowledge and possibilities in AI by simplifying our data to amplify its value. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello. A very good morning to one and all present. Thank you, Professor Shweta, for such a nice introduction. And it's absolutely a privilege to be a part of this gathering, that electronic gathering which we are having right now, which we are witnessing in this pandemic arena. So the previous speaker, Professor Santosh Ribolo's presentation was phenomenal. He has covered more or less everything, which is pertaining to this AI and data and what's happening in the present and what's there in future. Okay, so a lot of content was shared. So majorly, I'm going to focus. My presentation is going to be on data analytics part. So I will just share the screen and I'll quickly start. Just give me a minute. I'm just allowed to share a particular window. I cannot share the entire, the presentation will not come on the screen. Madam, the full screen view is not going to be there. Shweta ma'am? Hello? This is not a request, madam. Is it a...
Shweta madam, it is available on the screen for us.
Are you able to see? It is there?
I can't see. Oh, yes, we can see, ma'am.
So again, very good morning to one and all. And the topic of my webinar or my presentation is Business Analytics, Simplify the Data to Amplify its Value. So in the present times, when we are, data is something which is the most important asset of any organization. So if we, in the present times, we say data is a new currency, okay? And data is a new oil. A lot of people have quoted and they have talked about data in different aspects because it is one of the most precious assets of any organization. So just going through this, the content which is there right in front of you as per Peter Sundergaard, he says that information is the oil of the 21st century and analytics is the combustion engine. So I think so with this, because data is something which we are creating. With the help of data, we are extracting a lot of information, and using analytics, we are able to do wonders with that data. Okay, so we'll just quickly just go through this, this 1 minute internet. What actually it is? What happens? This is a particular content which is the latest, which I am referring to is of March 2020. So here you are able to see in 1 minute internet, it means 1 minute is equivalent to how much? 60 seconds. This much of data is created. The figures are mind-boggling. If I just come to how many emails are sent in 1 minute, it's close to 190 million mails are sent. If I talk about, yes, the online transactions which are carried out, they're close to $1.1 million spent online in every 1 minute. 7,64,000 hours watched, in 1 minute. So many people are watching across the globe Netflix. So many people, 1.3 million people log in every minute on Facebook. 4.1 million search queries are performed on Google. 4.7 million videos are viewed in 1 minute. So isn't it like from this particular, slide, a lot of, triggers should come to our mind. When we are saying that data is a new oil, data is a new currency, data is something which is very, very important. It's one of the most precious assets of an organization. What is actually motivating us to really speak or, arrive to this conclusion that it is something which is the most precious entity of any organization? These are the reasons. Data is generated every second, every minute, which is very, very, very important to the various organizations. Because if I talk about the online purchases, here all the e-commerce companies and e-business companies are going to come into picture. If I'm talking about Facebook, a lot of companies are using Facebook as a platform for reaching to their customers. If I'm talking about Google, yes, definitely the companies are using Google for carrying out various kind of search and research which are related to their domain. If I'm talking about emails, so much of exchange is happening within the organization. When if you are sending the mails and those mails could come from the internal customers, these mails could be from the external customers, these mail could be from your partners, these mail could be from your collaborators. So all this data is created. So it becomes the most important asset in the present ecosystem in which we are living. So when we see this data, a lot of data which is being mentioned here is unstructured in nature, and a lot of data is structured in nature. So what do you mean by structured and unstructured data, which we are going to cover all that. But just to make the things like clear to all of you, structured data is the data which is in the tabular form. If you are carrying out any transaction I think so all of you now, this pandemic has taught all of us how to, at least be digitally literate enough to really manage our day-to-day activities using mobiles or laptops or desktops. So any transaction, anything which you're buying online, anything which you view online, and whenever, like we just say, a transaction is generally when we are carrying out any monetary transaction. Let's say you make a payment, that is considered as a structured transaction. Why? Because the data will be well captured by the organizational databases. Okay, and there is a lot of unstructured element which is there in the present times. If we are talking about this ecosystem which exists right now, because of so much of social media interventions, so much of intervention of mobile computing in every aspect of our businesses. Everywhere, see, whenever you visit a particular video, you visit a particular site, you buy a particular product, you have been asked to give a feedback to it, isn't it? So those feedbacks could be in text format. You can use some emojis for sharing your feedback. You can use some audio files for sharing your feedback. It could be a thumbs up, which you can use for sharing. So this data, which is again very, very meaningful for any organization, but it is not in tabular form. It's not in rows and columns, but it is present in other formats which are available. Those formats could be text, those formats could be audio file, those formats could be images, those formats could be videos. So when all this if this kind of mixed data which is there, so that is termed as an unstructured data. So when you see this, a lot of data which is here, those transactions which are going to happen might be structured, and there'll be some transactions which could be unstructured also in nature. So now coming to this, why we are talking about all these things. So because of these beautiful disruptions, which has impacted our lives, so aggressively, and they have become a integral part of our lives now. So and in the present times, when we talk about business continuity, we are talking about, yes, irrespective of whatever happens, businesses should function. There should be no downtime. All these concepts are coming in the business entities right now. So all these disruptive technologies, in the way in their capacity, they are actually really assisting us to create that kind of a setup. So if we just talk about, what happened in 14,000, century, it was like the Gutenberg's, that printing press, when it was that first printing press came into existence, that was considered as one of the biggest revolution, you can say, which has changed the entire way of looking at the things. But now we are in this digital era. I'm not talking about what all happened industrial 1.0. Sir has already covered in detail, and we are at present in industry 4.0. So now in all this is, digital era is a part of this industrial revolution 4.0. And it is something which is making the things very different, because it has touched every aspect of our lives, isn't it? It stretches from the simple conversations to everyday needs, and even to complicated medical and other scientific analysis. I think so all of us agree with this, the statement which is here. It is not just confined to the conversation. It is actually helping us in finding out the problems to those unpredicted situations which are there, and it is further helping us to make our life simpler, isn't it? So the digital capabilities such as cloud computing, data analytics is something which majorly I'm going to actually talk in my presentation, because the focus is going to be on data analytics only. IoT has already been discussed, Internet of Things, where we have a lot of sensors which are able to communicate with each other, and which is the data which is coming from sensors is further converted into the digital formats, and this digital data which is created further used for different kind of analytics. Okay, So cybersecurity, because a lot of digitization which is happening, a lot of intervention of digital technologies in our lives, you know, which is further really is if digitization is there, so the cybersecurity or the how you are going to safeguard your data from your internal as well as from the external customers. And when we are saying that because of digital disruptions, a lot of different types of interventions are created, so then all the more in the present times, cybersecurity becomes the key aspect for any organization, because we say data is a new currency. Data is something which is the most important asset of any organization. So that data has to be safeguarded, isn't it? So we need to have the right kind of technologies implemented there also. And even analytics, when we talk about data analytics, so it is playing a major role. It's playing a wide role in creating those algorithms through which we can safeguard our networks. Automation, yeah, definitely it is touching all the aspects of our life. And yes, we are able to see in different sectors, all the assembly lines are automated. And coming to AI, as in detail, it was covered by Sir. So artificial intelligence, these are the various disruptive technologies which has, you know, now earlier they were in the background, but now they are the forefront. And as and because of the application of all these things, the information technology or information systems have become pervasive in nature, isn't it? So it has become an integral part of our lives. And this transformation has created a kind of an ecosystem where we are able to collaborate so very easily. Right now, this interaction which is happening, I'm in Bangalore. You know, the other professor is one more, you know, our keynote speaker. He is there in Bangalore, you know, being at that particular location, and all of you are based somewhere in Goa at different places within Goa. So, but we are able to collaborate, we are able to connect. Then for that also, which intervention is being created? The digital intervention, which is transforming the journey of, you know, whether you talk about education, you talk about retail sector, you talk about banking, you talk about hospitality, you talk about healthcare, you talk about aviation, you talk about any industry, you talk, or any sector which you will just mention, everywhere we can see these beautiful interventions of technology. And all the more after pandemic, we are able to see it has risen a lot, you know. Yes. So after, you know, now I'll just quickly come to the, you know, before we actually go into the details of analytics, why data is so very important, why it is an important asset for any organization. Let me just quickly introduce you to this definition or this concept of business analytics, what actually it is. Without, you know, knowing what actually we are talking, will not be able to correlate the things. So business analytics is a process. It's very business analytics is something which is not only meant for the students who are from the computer science background. It is something which is very important for the students who are coming from all the different domains. Okay, whether it is accounts and finance, whatever is your domain, your marketing, you're from any other background, everywhere analytics is going to play a major role in our lives. I'll tell you when we are going to further proceed in the presentation. So business analytics is a process of collating, sorting, processing, and studying the business data, and using the statistical models and iterative methodologies to transform data into business insights. Business insights means what value we are able to add to that data, which is part in our various storage devices. Okay, so if you are recording something, if you are capturing some data, if you are managing, if that data which is captured, if you're not able to manage it effectively, then that data has no reason to exist today. Okay, it's not important. It means I keep on parking, I'm piling it, I'm wasting my storage devices, I'm just unnecessarily like occupying my facility by keeping certain things which are not required. isn't it? So what are we supposed to do with that data? A lot of insights which could be added to that data. Okay, and this all are combined to provide decision makers all the possible scenarios to make well thought and researched or informed decisions. This is the importance. This is something which is one of the outcomes of your business analytics. Is it helps you to make the informed decisions. All those decisions which you're going to talk about are going to be always supported with the valid facts and figures. Why am I, if I want to increase my advertising budget, so what are the reasons behind it? How am I going to manage it? If I want to increase the sales, from X to 2X, so how will I calibrate the things? How I'm going to account it? How I'm going to manage, how I'm going to do the background work such that whatever, or is it really feasible in the present scenario? Should I go ahead with this? Because in the present times, we are not living in silos. The kind of infrastructure which exists in organization, we are creating those huge data centers which are used for parking the information of the entire organization. Okay, so everything is there, and you are not just confining, okay, this is sales data, this is marketing data, this is data which is related to finance, this is the data which is related to the production. All the data which there are linked with each other. They are able to communicate with each other. If they are able to communicate with each other, then for sure, the kind of decisions which we are going to make using those data, the structured data, I'm just referring to right now, the structured data will really help us to arrive to certain meaningful decisions. So we are using various models, computer-based models. We call them, predictive models, prescriptive models, diagnostic models. All these are the models which are used using the various statistical techniques we created, and we try to see the performance on various decision variables under the given different scenarios. What if this happens? What a cause and effect? All those, various situations, various use cases can be created. On those use cases, we can actually see the performance or relationship between the various variables, and then we try to conclude with the various facts and figures. As per the management science, guru, Peter Drucker, he says, what gets measured gets managed. If you're not able to measure it, you cannot manage it. So yes, so if we are, see what we are doing right now is we are able to capture it, we are able to record it, we are able to park it at the right place, and then using that, the various models, the statistical models which there, we are able to really measure the things, and then we are able to manage the resources of any organization effectively. This is just a slide which talks about, how the analytics has evolved from 1980s. We were like from descriptive, we moved to the diagnostic, from that we moved to the predictive, and now we are talking about the times where the systems we are trying to really, imbibe those, give that those algorithms that kind of understanding that they start taking the decision, the final call, and they give you various situations what you should do, or the data or the analytics can be used in formulating the strategies. It's not merely just used for reporting. It's not just used for just doing out some kind of analysis on that data. It is going to become a strategic tool which is going to give the organizations that kind of a strength what they are supposed to do in any difficult times. Okay, so during this pandemic also the lot of analytics data is being created, and I'll just come to all that. So then, and how that data can be used, how these data can be used by the organizations in their decision making, how they can leverage it. Not only like earlier we used to just talk about the descriptive, what happened, why it happened, what will happen. Okay, what will happen? Yes, if this situation comes. We are still in the era of, a lot of work is happening in this, predictive analytics, and we want to reach to the prescriptive analytics, by imbibing ML into those algorithms, and then we are creating those applications, those programs which can do the task of a human being, isn't it? So when we are talking about data, so we are saying that yes, data is something which is very important, and it is something which is really will deliver the extended business values, because in the previous slide we talked about analytics. Analytics is happening on what? Is it happening on the individuals who are part in that organizations who are working there? No, it is on the data which is created, and they are the contributors. As an end user from the organization, I could be an end user, or I could be a customer, or I could be a partner, or I could be one of the suppliers. So these are the various sources from where the data is going to be generated. If it is generated, then for sure it is going to give me some value. One of the, if the insight which is added to that data definitely should contribute to the additional value which it is giving to me by using the various right kind of applications, right kind of tools, such that we can really do wonders with that data. One thing I'll just very quickly mention before we move further, computer understand garbage in, garbage out. Till now we were talking about that kind of scenarios. Now we are trying to really create those kind of applications which will further help us to, filter a lot of unwanted things before it gets captured. But as of now, we have not reached to that stage. Okay. So I'll just quickly, I'll tell you, like, as per IDC, they have predicted that how much data is going to be generated by 2025. It's 175 zettabytes. Further, it is going to yottabytes and all, Yes, this is just a prediction. And, and as of now, because of the pandemic, the usage of technology, usage of this digital data, usage of, we are talking about the contactless deliveries, and everybody has shifted from brick and mortar companies to click and mortar. Companies like e-commerce, all those portals which exist, like Amazon, Flipkart, the name goes on and on, like you have a big basket for all the different types of buying different groceries and all. So these are the various platforms which we are the influx we have seen during this pandemic. People have, because of the contact, you don't want to go out, you want to be safe. So it is further leading, like the predictions could go further higher on the creation of the data. So there's very interesting thing about the data. See, we are saying that so much of data is created in 1 minute. So much of data we are creating. Otherwise also, any click you perform, that all is recorded. This is called the click stream data, okay? And the companies, as per their requirement, they keep on, creating or recording that data. So because they are those data are very, very meaningful for them. So, but in managing those data, there's a lot of cost which is involved, because the quality data can only give you the quality kind of, inferences, and those inferences which are going to be further used by the decision makers in that organization. This is like we all have started this Pareto's, rule, that 80-20 rule is alive and well managed, well in the data management. When we are talking about data, we are saying data is valued for all the businesses, isn't it? Irrespective of the sector. So yes, so right now, if you just talk about how the data is managed in the background, 80% of the time, the organizations as of now are spending, close to 82% they're spending in just searching, preparing, and analyzing that data. Okay, and only 20, governing the data. Only 18% is the time which is spent on analyzing that data. So are we not supposed to really leverage the other technologies like imbibe, and create those algorithms where we're going to have everything pervasive in nature? It's going to happen on the real-time basis, and we are reducing the time in the data management activities, and we are able to create a smarter planet where the data analysis becomes the core competency of that, businesses or that particular business data management activity. So lesser the time spent on it, so then more could be the conclusions, or more can be the done with the help of that data. What best could be done? Okay. So now, if you just see, in the present times, so you talk about any company, they have their mobile apps, they have their websites, they have the various modes of interactions which they have created on the social platforms. Maybe using the various influencers, they are reaching through Twitter to their audiences. Then they are using Facebook for running the different campaigns, or reaching out to their prospects. They're using YouTube for again, that particular platform is extensively leveraged by the companies in understanding the customer's behavior, what they are talking about, what they are thinking in the present, about the product or about their service which they are offering, how they are able to engage well with their customers, or what kind of engagement they are able to create. Is it just yes and no, or it was just like or dislike, or it was really a meaningful thing? If you are trying to really go for a repeat purchases, or if your existing customer is there, so you want to engage that customer, and from those campaigns which you are running on the various platforms which are available, and you're trying to influence the people, are you able to create certain leads from there? Isn't it? So whatever is happening, we are just seeing that somebody has posted a comment, they liked it, they responded to it, but in the background, all this is leading to what? This is leading to the data, what they're talking. So all this has to be also very meaningfully captured by right kind of infrastructure, which should be there on the real-time basis, created by the organizations, in order to understand the customer's behavior in a better way, and give them, because we say we want to give the customers a very, very amazing experience. We talk about customer delight, isn't it? We want to be connected with our customers. We want them to be always there with us. They are the most important element in our entire business, because if you don't have customers, then you will for sure have no reason to exist only, isn't it? So now we are talking about how this analytics, and yes, the various conversational AIs, but this data analytics is again using extensively those algorithms which are working on the ML and DL part, and which is further helping us to really understand the customers better, in increasing a brand value, in understanding, and in creating the engagements, in creating the loyalty scores, in enticing the customers, in beating the competition, in having the competitive advantage. Because things are so dynamic, you can't think of, if you have missed on one of the important aspects, which could be related to any product. It could be, related to the mobile phone, which you have really introduced recently, and suddenly there was certain complaints which were coming from the customer side, from the users, and they all were unnoticed, because all that was there on the social platforms. If all this information goes unnoticed, then for sure be ready to face the consequences of it. Okay, that's why we are trying to create that kind of infrastructure, where the structured element definitely is going to be a core competency of the organization, but how these unstructured element of conversations which are happening over the various social platforms, how that data can also be captured, okay, by using the various tools and techniques which are there for the text mining, which are there for mining the audio and the video or images. What are they trying to communicate? What are they trying to really tell us through those whatever information in those conversation links which are posted by the customers? So this is something which is very interesting. This is again, I have this, there was a survey conducted by IDC, So they have talked about, yes, again, using the prism of data and technology. Okay, so when we are saying the customer, yes, we just, in the last slide, we were talking about the customer as a very important entity. Yes, definitely, because all this circus which we are doing, all this drama which is happening is to increase the customer base, to beat the competition, and all this we are able to do wonderfully and amazingly with the help of data. And the data only will give you all this with the help of the right technology, which is interwoven into the fabric of it, isn't it? Into the business, then only all this we can really talk about. So out of the responses which they got, 77% of people, they responded, yes, data is extremely important for them in enhancing the user experience, isn't it? So we cannot negate it. 77% is quite a big percentage, So it means everybody is believing and everybody is buying this thought that data is very important. Okay, so these are the 4 or 5 aspects which are covered. The data, hello. Yes, nowadays, if you just see, everywhere you get a personalized kind of a touch. I'll just quickly refer to a very simple example of, Netflix here, or Amazon Prime. Are they not able to really create kind of an interface which looks as if it is so personal to you based on your past, views? Yes, and they are capturing the historical data of each and every customer. They are creating the clusters of it. They are further carrying out, they're segmenting them based on their different variables. Let me tell you what all variables they look into, before they actually arrive, before their recommendation engine or their recommendation system gives you those personalized kind of recommendations. They use even what you watch, which particular genre, at what time, which device, from which location, at whether you're a binge watcher or you watch episode, what generally you do during the entire day, how they come to know, like, what is your watching pattern? Has it changed? What is it over the weekends? During that, while watching a particular episode, are you watching using forward and rewind? Do you visit, or in between, if a teaser is displayed, do you refer to it? Do you watch it full? Then you give the rating to it, or are you a simple viewer or subscriber who just give the rating based on not watching the entire series? And all these factors, can you imagine that how humongous this data is going to be, isn't it? So how in the background the things are going to be, the data structures are going to be amazingly huge. Daily data which is generated will have audio, video, and text and different kind of data, isn't it? And all this is further being analyzed, and then when you open your interface, when you open your Netflix, using any device, you're able to see as if it is there for you. So they are really, really creating that kind of experience for the customers. Here, that when we say it's how effectively they are able to manage the churn. They're not letting go of their customers. They're able to really create those engagements, and all this is dependent on the right kind of variables which they have created, right kind of algorithms which are working in the background, which is giving a new meaning to that existing data. And based on that, they are able to give that kind of a personalized attention to each and every viewer or each and every subscriber. They have a huge presence, across the globe. Out of 195 countries, I think so they have the presence in 140 countries plus. And their viewership is close to 143 million, as of now in the present. During the pandemic, suddenly they have seen a big, increase in the number of customers. And now they are creating the original content also. How it started, there's again it started in 2012 with the House of Cards, that series which they created. There also they use predictive analytics extensively, using their descriptive data which they have gathered, carrying out various kind of diagnostic on that data, and they were able to really predict without even going for any kind of a dry run, they could create 2 seasons for House of Cards. You know, that was a web series which was created and which was a kind of a blind date, let me tell you, whether they have invested close to 100 crores in that project. Okay, and it was a huge success because they could predict all the possibilities, all the various parameters, internal as well as the external factors were also studied. It was at that time in 2012, the presidential elections were about to happen in US, and they replicated a plot of that, political drama, which was earlier there created, keeping in mind the UK's, that political scenario. And Kevin Stacey and David Fincher's, the duo was something which was rocking at that time, and they could see if these 2 people are there, if the producer, the director, as well as the actor, then definitely there is no doubt that this is going to be a failure. It's going to be a hit. Contextual awareness, this is one aspect which, yes, you should be aware of. Frictionless engagement, again, like what I was just discussing, all these parameters are more or less covered. Frictionless engagement, it means it should be so seamless in nature. So in the previous presentation, Professor also mentioned about those chatbots. When you go to any banking site, or you are buying any furniture online, or you are looking for various online courses, suddenly there'll be a chatbot which is going to appear there. And now these chatbots are no more just created for engaging, they are giving you an immersive kind of an experience, isn't it? So for State Bank of India, if I just talk about, banking industry, they use YONO is their app, that chatbot, and it will ask you so very relevant question, how may I help you? And based on whatever is your query, you want to do any EFT, you are struggling, you want to know your statement, want to know your past spending, how to really reach to those all possible, options which are there in that interface, which is right there in front of you. So it has become a guiding factor. And what is happening in the background? There is an algorithm, there is no human, there is no individual who's sitting and actually doing that work for you. Isn't it? So yes, so we have reached to that kind of, the intervention of technologies such that we are able to give this kind of experience to our customers. EVA is there for HDFC, Kia is there for Kotak Bank. All these other, various websites or various online banking sites which are using chatbots very extensively. And a lot of the operational jobs are eliminated now, isn't it? So because of which, yes, there is a lot of hue and cry, but the flip side of, I'll just cover in one of the slides where a lot of new jobs are also created. There's always a discussion because of the AI, because of the technology interventions. Yes, they are going to take away the jobs because of a lot of automation which is happening, But it's not just the automation is replacing the operation kind of activities which earlier were done by humans, but now you are required to do something even more meaningful. Okay, so coming to the active learning, yes, if this is something which is talking about the customer intelligence analytics, data aggregation, artificial intelligence, all this, when we were talking about this Netflix case, or you talk about the Amazon as a e-commerce, on the e-commerce platform. I'm not talking about Amazon for the video streaming and live streaming. So they're using a lot of customer analytics. They're able to predict, they're able to view, they are able to really understand the mindsets of people, and accordingly their application, the recommendations engines are suggesting you, which is further helping you for cross-selling and upselling. Okay, so again, one more example I'll just try to give you here is in terms of, when we are talking about this customer analytics or intelligence analytics, is we are, with the help of the right kind of learning, active learning or AI or deep learning, we can really manage the churn also very well. Okay, so before a customer leaves, you are able to really, your system, your application, your algorithms start suggesting you. Okay, so nowadays we are using analytics, neural networks in even for the loan applications in the banking sector again. So based on the various parameters which are listed there, based on whatever weightage, different kind of weightages which you're going to give to each and every parameters, with variables I'm talking about. Those variables is the historical data which you have really created based on the past purchases or the past transactions, and your entire historical data of those customers are managed by the banks, isn't it? So by using the artificial intelligence, by using the neural networks there, we are able to predict the possibility of a customer, whether the customer is eligible for this kind of a loan or not. And even our application starts suggesting, based on whatever the historical data which is there with us, yes, is this customer the most eligible one for this kind of requirement, or for this kind of cross-selling or upselling which we want to do on that data. So it's what everywhere, it's data, it's information, your historical data which is doing wonders for you, and with the help of the right algorithms, the right technology interventions. And again, we are not just going to just confine ourselves to one aspect of the technology. All these, various disruptive technologies which we have talked about, which was there covered in detail in the previous presentation also, everything, it's going to be the kind of business setup which is there at present. It's a mix of all the various disruptive technologies. Banks are all the companies are using cloud computing, all the applications which are running are cloud-based. We are using AI, we are using VR, we are using mixed reality. I'll just quickly tell you an example of, virtual reality, and is extensively used by the real estate sector in just giving a complete glimpse of, or in the gaming industry also they use virtual reality. But if you just try to relate with the other sectors also, they're using the virtual reality to give a complete glimpse of that particular flat, or the model which you are going to create. Okay, because otherwise the investments are so high if you have to create all those models, a lot of money goes into that process. So with the help of the technology, we are able to give that kind of enhanced experience, the user experience, to our users. And Amazon has recently, I think so in the month of August, a lot of work they were doing in the background, using this augmented reality for selling the furnitures. This pieces, how if your room is of the dimension of the room is 16 by 14, I want to buy a rocking chair for myself. Where I should place it, and when I'm going to place, that's a part of the augmented reality. When the object becomes a part of your reality, you're extending it to that location, and then you can see it, how it actually looks. Okay, so all these, we were earlier talking about all these aspects which were related to, augmented reality or virtual reality, or nowadays in education sector also, this mixed reality is extensively used in making the teaching, the learning experience even more beautiful. So yes, so in business applications also, we have started using all these things. We are not just confining ourselves to one or two sectors only, or one or two industries only. So just see how deeply this technology, the data has gone into our lives. And then the sentiment analysis definitely is going to be the one which, the data which you are here, I think so, this is sentiment measurement, the point, which is the fifth point, which is here. So based on what the people are talking about your product, I have already explained it, based on any campaign which you are running, or any product which you have recently launched, or you want to launch, or which is already there, or there are certain complaints, how they need to be addressed, how the data which is unstructured in nature can also, again, it's data, and with the help of technology, how you're going to make meaningful for the organization. And ultimately, everything boils down to enhancing the customer experience, because of so much of volatility which exists in the present times. So yes, so all of the companies, they are saying that these are the, those were the things which could be studied, and if you are able to apply or really include or imbibe that kind of a user experience. So yes, these are the various benefits as a business you can draw. So somewhere close to 553 billions, the companies are going to spend on this, on the technology. Why? Because when we are saying technology is something which is always an investment for a company. It's not a cost to the company in the present times. Earlier, it used to be very difficult for the CTO or a CIO of a company to justify if you are going for any ERP application implementation and all. But nowadays, it has become an integral part of every business, that without technology, you'll not be able to survive, isn't it? So yes, they are ready to spend on the technology. So if they are going to spend on these technologies, if they are going to create this kind of an ecosystem, don't you think there'll be a lot of jobs which are going to be created? So all these things should give you those triggers where I can place myself, okay? Where I could also contribute in some or the other way. What is something which is really very interesting for me, which could click you as a commerce student, as an engineering student, as a student from any other stream? Yes, how the technology can be used in my domain. That is what you have to experience. A lot of things, like as per one of the surveys which was conducted by World Economic Forum, that says, very interesting, the insight which was brought by them, that by 2022, that was a prediction that, again, like based on the study, they might have created some set, or they might have studied the data. So, and those respondents, they say that the study says that what all, if you are pursuing a course, 4-year course, what all you study in the first year, by the time you complete your particular course, maybe those concepts or maybe those technologies which were there at that time will not have no meaning. So that's how the disruption is happening. Because of these disruptive technologies, that smartphones, social media, analytics, cloud, all these have changed the business models which exist. So now no more you need a lot of hardware at your site. You are giving that to outsourcing it to somebody else. Those data centers can be managed by some XYZ who is an expert in that area. So now a lot of this is a kind of a breather for a lot of small and medium enterprises. If you talk about the storage management, which was a problem for them, now with the intervention of cloud computing and those applications which they are using, any customer relationship application or supply chain management application or enterprise resource planning kind of an application, everywhere, all these solutions which are available right now, irrespective of whosoever is the vendor who's providing you, whether it's Oracle, whether it's SAP, whosoever is there. So all the applications are cloud-based. Okay, just because, see, why I'm talking about it, because we are talking about data, we are creating data. If we are creating data, we have to capture that data. If we have to capture that data, we need the storage devices. If we are not able to store it, then it has no meaning, isn't it? So all these things are linked. And because then only we can talk about analytics, then only we can talk about insight, then only we can talk about customer retention, then only we can talk about the customer lifetime value, then only we can actually segment the customers, then only we can really manage our various resources and our applications, because they are able to interact with each other. They can actually forecast, or they can actually predict what is the possibility, which particular machinery in that entire assembly line which is installed there, there's a possibility of breakdown before it happens. We have reached that level. We are trying to create that kind of system. Okay, so we are in a quality assurance model. If we talk about, we are able to really talk about, that, and identify those right defects by having the right kind of applications in place, the algorithms which are running in the background. Okay, yes. So because before it is a disaster for that organization, why not to improvise the things, isn't it? So the great organizations can only exist, or they can say that they are great if they have the smarter analytics. isn't it? So if you have smarter way of looking at the things, analyzing the data, then only you can say that you are a smart organization. So as per Sumit Puri, like he's the CIO of Max Healthcare, nowadays extensively, I brought this particular quote here because when you talk about the healthcare sector, which was earlier also, there were a lot of work which was happening, but we as in, the normal citizens, we were not aware of it. But now when we talk about this particular sector, there, yes, everybody has started realizing the importance of the data. So analytics today is the bedrock of any growing business which exists. So these are the various sectors where you can see extensively. Sir has also in the previous presentation, he has talked about the credit card fraudulence or any kind of outages which could be there related to machineries, related to the applications, related to the any kind of a discrepancy on the data. All that can be easily predicted with the help of analytics. Coming to the retail sector, yes, everywhere. Because as of now, like earlier, yeah, we have moved to the organized retail in last 2 decades. Yes, we can say, and that is more since last 1 decade. We can see that we have that a lot of organized. The retail sector has also become organized, but now because of the pandemic, we are able to see even. Where earlier we were like a little reluctant to use the e-commerce sector, but now online retailing, we were like little reluctant. Now everybody has switched to it, and we all are using it, isn't it? And then we are sharing our experiences. We are sharing our those recommendations. We are sharing our reviews. What actually is happening when you write a review, when you share your experience or you refer to somebody? In the process, what is happening? The data is created. For whom? For the company, to understand what the customers are thinking. That is very, very important for them, isn't it? And that is like, I'll just quickly tell you a simple example. If you're buying a mobile phone, then it's automatically below, if you're using Amazon, so it'll start suggesting you a few things. The recommendation engine that you want to buy a screen guard, you want to buy a case, based on yes, what model you have selected. So all those possible options are given. And if you buy in together, then you're going to get some 10% discount. All these things are like the system is able to suggest. There is no human intervention which is happening there. There is analytics of the data which is happening in the background, which is actually suggesting you all these things. So there is wonderful this analytics application in the retail sector because there the data is huge and immense, isn't it? Telecom sector is again using extensively to manage the churn analytics. I think so all of you, like because of the what is your usage pattern? Based on the usage pattern, suddenly if the telecom service provider sees that you have stopped watching or you have stopped using a particular plan, or you're not using the data usage has suddenly dropped. So there could be numerous factors behind it, isn't it? So yes, so all that they keep on studying, they keep on creating those clusters, they keep on segmenting that data by using the right kind of predictive models in understanding the customers, the usage patterns, and accordingly coming up and suggesting them various plans, because extensively for the pricing strategies, they're using analytics. Okay, so in consumer goods and healthcare sector, in sports, yes, definitely we are using in hotels and airlines, for the dynamic pricing and all, we are using dynamic pricing. Like you can see, like even the prices of the flight tickets during a particular season, if it is a holiday season or something like that, then obviously, yeah, the prices of the tickets are going to be a little higher. So what is happening? Do you think somebody is sitting and inserting that data, or somebody is doing all those calculations manually there? No, it's all done by the analytics, by the algorithms which they have created, keeping in mind what are their requirements. They have identified those variables. They've identified those parameters which are going to play a major role. Okay, so there is data is there. The data has to be analyzed, and how you are analyzing with the help of the right applications. This is something which the impact of COVID, and there was a question which came, I could see in the chat at that time that, yeah, the automation is going to take away a lot of jobs. This slide is something which is very, very important, which can just give you certain interesting use cases that a lot of new areas are emerging. There are certain use cases which are impacted, and there are new job roles which are created. Okay, this is something which is very, very, yes, it's going to take away a lot of jobs which were there earlier will not even exist, will have no significance, because all that could be managed effectively by using technology. So where you fit in, based on what kind of strengths you have and what is your domain, where you want to see yourself. So yes, and what are you supposed to know? All that you have to start thinking right now. Okay, so that's as a student, and there are so many platforms which are available. Nowadays, all the corporates, they are recognizing the online certifications, which has become very, very important, and they are very well appreciated by them based on how you are engaging yourself in doing certain meaningful things, which will further help you to accelerate your career in your future. Okay, so yes, all these sectors and others, everywhere we are going to see the new use cases are going to emerge. Why? Because a lot of digitalization and a lot of electronic form of interaction, and still it's not going to harm the company, and they are able to reduce on their operational cost, which is further associated. These are the few things which were earlier a very far-sighted thing, or they have never thought of it. But now this pandemic have given all the more reasons to really understand. So there are certain certifications, like when we talk about, yes, even for the domain.
It's better now, ma'am. You can continue. Ma'am, you may continue. Excuse me, ma'am. Unable to see your presentation currently.
You're not able to see it?
Your
Just
presentation is not visible, madam.
No, ma'am.
Okay, just a minute. I'll just quickly. Is it now visible? Is it visible? Can you view it? Am I audible and visible? Now it is visible? Okay. So we were just talking about this. I'll just take some 5 minutes to wind up. Okay. Just give me this is a very interesting example why I just wanted to cite for the 3D printing, how this particular disruptive technology is going to change the world. So this, there was a company, there's a startup there, Nova, and so the physicians as well as the engineers, they came together and they were able to create the ventilators. So using the same ventilator, using 3D printing. Okay, because during that pandemic, and during that time, everywhere there was a lockdown situation, across the globe. So they could create it on site within the country, and which was used for sharing the same ventilator with different patients who had the requirement for the the oxygen, everybody had, all those patients who were there. So the same ventilator was shared across the multiple, patients. This is one of the intervention of 3D printing during the pandemic. And there is very interesting, like 10th class, this boy, his name is Zareb Vardan. He created, using 3D printing, those masks and shields for the administration staff, all and for the Corona warriors. So that initiative he took, and he bought that machine or that device from his pocket money, and he was really, really felicitated for his contribution during that time. So try to think. Don't really used to say in English and technology, that mathematics was something which was always an integral part of our lives. You should be really good in mathematics, and you should be good in comprehending well in any of the languages, whichever is your, the mode of your learning is. So now the third thing which has been added, the third pillar which is added is the application designing. So this part which was not touched earlier, now it is going to be really, really in demand. Let me tell you, I'm assuring 5 years down the lane, a lot of, those kids who are going to graduate, or will do their 10th and 12th grades, they will be more competitive in terms of, the using or leveraging technology for solving various problems related to society. So that is going to be, a lot of scope is available. It's not only just running the businesses, the quality, how we can enhance. So these are the various, areas where the intervention of technology can really make a lot of difference to our lives. Okay. So now, yes, this is a quick slide. This is latest, this is again from IDC. There is the data, which I'm just sharing it with you. On 21st October, they are carrying out the transactions. They are using it. Don't you think the data is going to be created there also? You are going to require the infrastructure for that. You will require to create the right kind of content, will be not obsolete even by those players who exist in this e-commerce sector. Now, all the companies which were generally having their only physical presence, they all have also moved to the websites. And they are able to see the growth there also. Like, yes, a lot of online purchases have happened. Even those sellers who are there, the streets, they have collaborated with Amazon, and they are also sustaining. So a kind of a model which is created, again, I say that it's an ecosystem which we are able to create with the help of technology, which is further helping and assisting. And it's as a commerce student, yes, a lot of you can be instrumental in data analytics, in digital, using, analyzing the data for different aspects, how to manage the organizational information effectively. So there are a lot of, new jobs which are going to be there, but for that you need to be digitally literate, and you should have the digital fluency. Fluency in a sense, you should have learned the right tools through which the data analysis can be done effectively. You're not just going to sit, okay, somebody else is going to analyze the data. You are expected to analyze the data. You are expected to present the data, the data visualization. And using the data visualization, as you being an expert in that domain, you can really suggest what is to be done and what should not be done based on the informed decisions, which based on the data, based on the stats which are going to speak there. Okay. So coming to this slide, this is very Jim Birdson. He says the data will talk to you if you are willing to listen to it. Else, you just be blindfolded and say, I don't know what is to be done with this data. There's something here, there's something there. Then data will not do wonders for you. It's going to be in silos. It's going to be parked somewhere. It's going to exist, but you have to exist in the present time along with it, isn't it? So you have to really, I'm talking from the organization's perspective as well as an end user's perspective. Data can only do wonders for you if you are willing to do. You can create your future rather than just sitting and, thinking about what will happen. So talking about various forms of, whatever information which is available, how this information I can use as an end user, as a student right now, who is going to contribute in the near future, in the corporate sector or in various sectors, whether it's related to public sector, there also a lot of digitization has happened. There also you will be expected to draw a lot of conclusions from that digital data which has been created. Okay, thank you so much. So that's it from my side. And yes, ma'am, like what next is to be done? Are we going to take the question answers right now or towards the end of the session?
Experience for all our participants. Let us now move on to the final speaker of the day.
Okay, thank you.
I would now use the speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce to our next speaker, Dr. Bharti Malkareddy, who is going to talk to us about artificial intelligence in India. Dr. Bharti Malkareddy is currently working as a professor and HOD in artificial intelligence and machine learning, BMSIT Bangalore. She has completed her BE in Computer Science and Engineering from GUT, MTech in Computer Science and Engineering from VTU Belgaum, and she has also done a PhD from JNU to Hyderabad. She has published around 25 papers in reputed international journals, around 40 papers in conferences, and 8 book chapters in Springer. She has also filed her patents. Dr. Bharti Malkareddy has developed and deployed 10 smart products under the theme Smart Campus. She is awarded at the state and the national level. She is guiding 6 research scholars. She is collaboratively working with NITK Surat for 4 projects and worked as an advisor for a project on JIT analysis. She has won awards for her projects from IBM, Intel, Mechathon, from Government of India, ICT, Academy Innovator Award, South Zone Indian Universities, etc. She has projects funded from the VGST, Government of Karnataka, and software companies who are working on healthcare applications using artificial intelligence. So I please welcome our speaker, Dr. Bharti Malkareddy.
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Just a second, I'll share the screen. Yes. Good afternoon to everyone. On this occasion, it's my pleasure and it's my honor to congratulate the management, teaching and non-teaching fraternity students of VVM Damodar College on the celebration of Golden Jubilee. As it says, gold has been the standard of exemplary purity, excellence since time immemorial, and milestones of Damodar College has given wealth for generations in terms of knowledge. I really, from the bottom of my heart and from my institute, I congratulate Damodar College fraternity. So moving on to the presentation that I was supposed to do is on artificial intelligence, which has a vision of 2025. And speaking to it on this note, I would carry on for my presentation on how AI evolved, whether AI is science or technology is still a criticism, whether its concepts and its applications. And the theme of the webinar tends to be AI, artificial intelligence, virtuality in reality. I would take you around the concepts of a little bit of virtual reality, than the current status, future prospects with references. Here comes the power of intelligence. So what type of intelligence are we talking right now is artificial intelligence. And the webinar theme, virtuality in reality, was a question mark. So we will see how reality will meet artificial intelligence, and we'll see how AI will transform India. Speaking to 2025, then I have a quote here in the recent years. Putin says the nation that leads in artificial intelligence will be the ruler of the world. So this keeps everybody worried about artificial intelligence that is going to offer opportunities as well as dangers. That is what I can say, because we will come across the criticism and challenges that we are having in adopting AI. The one side of AI, what we see is pros and the other side is cons. We'll see how do we do all about it. So till now, we could hear a lot about data analytics and very beautifully fabricated in terms of the philosophy of data, how it started, how the journey is going to end up with AI in different fields. So moving on to that, I just want to know what's our road to digital transformation. So most of the time we use the terms digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation as synonyms. But true to it, it is not the same. So we are now in the era of digital transformation is what we see. So digitization, we were talking, we are going to digitize, we are going to digitize. Digitization has been a long way back. And what we see is now we are in the step of digital transformation. How does these terms differ now? So coming to the digitization part. So when we started using electronic gadgets, that is the era where digitization has already crept into us. So that is where conversion of data takes place. So the conversion of digital form of data. So here, what we see here in the form of data, either it is digital data when we say any fact or any raw value that converts into analog form or digital form, conversion is data. So when I send my data, I say this is in JPEG form, PNG form, this is bitmap form, or any PDF form. So this is what the digitization is. That is conversion of data. So moving on to the next step from the digitization, which is a long over concept, it's a digitalization, which needs adaptation. So a process in place, a technology that makes this process to be used. So in various applications, that becomes digitalization, adapting the data, which is any form, converted form, through a process becomes digitalization. So what do we do? Just converting, having a set of data, converting it in some other form by a set of process, phases of process, doesn't end up there. So if we are able to have a creation of business to that data that is collected, then it is digital transformation. So this is how the road to digital transformation has come, right from digitization to digitalization, the process that is adapted in making the data applicable to different applications and creating business out of that application forms the digital transformation. So this road to digital transformation requires a long-standing technologies that have to be put in place. A single technology cannot make this digital transformation a smooth process. So to do that, we have number of technologies we keep on talking. It is now what the hype is about artificial intelligence, then Internet of Things. For a while, we were talking about smart cities, embedded systems. So these are all systems which, when integrated, comes into digital transformation. A standalone technology cannot make you into a digital transformed country or the society to be digitally transformed. So going on to this, because we have to talk on AI, I would like to focus more on AI as a technology. How is it going to have? See, AI is a hype now, or it's a reality. We are going to understand, because AI is long back that we have seen. As Sir said, it all started with Turing machine AI. So the evolution of AI, where I see is the building blocks, the computing power, data, that is a small computing power, a small amount of data fetched, that would be there. But now this data, this computing power have given a breakthrough, the different network modules with the cheap processing power that has come up. And right now, this breakthrough for cheap processing, memory getting cheaper, then the communication media getting cheaper, we have many companies investing money and resources into artificial intelligence to make it more technology adapted advances. So we see those companies which are investing money, resources into AI have made investments in bringing talents, core AI technologies and developer tools, and creating ample amount of opportunities. That is creating boundless opportunities for people who have the skills imbibed in them. So how do we say the AI that was existed, which is now everywhere we are talking about artificial intelligence, and when we say it existed long back, then what difference did we have between then and now as AI and technology? So here I talk about the data. So what do we see here? Already we had data which was in production since ever the electronic media came into existence, electronic gadgets came into either it's a calculator. Calculator also has some data into it. It has memory into it. Later the computing power, the computers. So data production, there is some way of producing data. Then we have some amount of data collection. It depends upon the type of memory that we have in the data storage, how it is collected, how it is stored, then how the computation takes place on the data, and how the data, once computed, keeping itself, like Madam said, if it just resides on some storage devices or media, it's of no use. So we need to have some way of data transmission to get into some applications. This is work. This is how the data has to be put into use. So earlier when we had computer, lot of labor was involved in data production and data collection. Just like when we used to go for census, I remember a use case long back when census, they used to go to every door and they used to write the data. So that is a lot of labor process. Then storage on some machines. We had earlier CDs. Then again the transmission application would be a labor based. But when internet started, communication media started, where a lot of transmission started, only production and data collection was labor. Then storage, calculation, transmission was done by machines, and the application was again a labor based process. But when Internet of Things started, where connected devices, so it is various devices getting connected at any time, anywhere, just like what we speak of ATM. It will work in all the dimension at any time, anywhere, at any place it has to work. So that makes you connected of things, where data production is laborious, plus machine takes the charge of data collection, storage, calculation, data transmission, and a small part of labor for developing the applications. But now when I talk about AI, right from the beginning of data production, the machine takes into it with data collection, storage, calculation, data transmission, and data application. So where does the labor go then? What efforts about the humans is really the hype that is created for AI will replace humans? Will the jobs be lost? These are all some of the dangers that we see in AI as automation is with the Industry 4.0 is carrying on. So when I see the AI vertical, it is machine that is taking over right from production of data to the application development. So then where does human stand here? So coming to the how AI is going to work and what really AI is. So here, artificial intelligence system, any system that is built with artificial intelligence will have, it learns from experience, uses the learning to reason, recognizes image. So these are different variants, how it learns from, because data has to be produced. Then it has to use the data for learning. So the data, what we see is not just text. The data that we receive from various devices, from various scenarios from various use cases are in different formats. Either it may be audio data, video data, or a text data, or a hybridization of this data. So how does it recognize all this type of data, which it uses for solving complex problems, then understands languages, creates perspectives out of it? So this all together, when I put it in a box, it becomes an artificial intelligence. So when I tell Internet of Things, when I tell embedded system, if it just collects and data and it's not put out for any visualization or not developed into any application, that doesn't matter to us. That doesn't come out as a technology. So AI is going to do a complete phase out of the smart, what we call smart devices, smart things, smart cities. So this is the technologies, integration of technologies. So that plays a major role here when we talk about smart things. So John McCarthy, father of artificial intelligence, always when I start any of my talks, I bow my head to John McCarthy, father of artificial intelligence, where John McCarthy defines artificial intelligence as science as well as engineering of making intelligent machines. How do I make machines intelligent? Write intelligent computer programs. So what intelligence is? So when I write a program, just taking one simple example of taking when I tell a program, so we have been writing programs since computer has come into existence. But are those intelligent programs? Which programs to be classified as intelligent programs? Which programs can I decide as just computer programs? Because John McCarthy says that artificial intelligence is writing all about making programs intelligent. So what is that intelligent that has to be added here to make program? So that which makes decision, that which makes out on behalf of human will make programs intelligent. So coming to the criticism, where AI is a science or technology. So it's both the science and technology, an engineering discipline we call. But that engineering discipline of artificial intelligence has a culmination of philosophy. It's a part of computer science earlier, but now evolved itself into a branch. Then psychology, neuron science, biology, mathematics, sociology. Take anything, you see artificial intelligence as a solution that you can see in your everyday walk of life. So what are the possible applications of artificial intelligence do I see? Where do these concepts, what concepts I should know of artificial intelligence for different applications? So AI concepts into natural language processing, deep learning, then simulation modeling, so machine translation, social network analysis, Internet of Things, image analytics, graph analytics. As I said, data comes in variant forms. So structured, semi-structured, unstructured. So we need to have how do I process, how do I clean? And now when I told one vertical of AI, which right from data collection to data application development is all through machine. How does it do? How do I devise models for this? Through various machine learning models, simulations, either I build different network models, and how do I visualize data? In what form the data has to be visualized? What tool should I need? Whether the analytics should be an audio analytics, image analytics. So all these are some of the concepts that we need to know for building different types of applications of AI. So what are the different sectors where I see AI applications? As since morning we are seeing sir and madam also told about various applications that I see on AI, right from agriculture. Where do I see in agriculture? Precision agriculture. Israel is the leading technology user in its agriculture. Being a small country, but the development that is seen for artificial intelligence, the research, the innovation that goes on in Israel is ample amount. The computer vision they are doing is really great. So here, when I come to agriculture, it's management system, it's equipment managing, health of the equipments that are used in agriculture, then prediction of the crops, yield. So in various ways, I can use AI applications in agriculture. When it comes to translation, text to audio, speech to audio, speech to text, vice versa, multilingual text to audio. So these are various applications what I see in translation. And healthcare is there's a boom in the healthcare sector, I can tell you, where media imaging, then surgical robots, rehabilitation equipments, study of drugs, then we see in manufacturing unit. Talk of any sector, AI plays a role there, and AI is a solution for any sector that we talk, either it is biology, telemedicine, human organ study, protein study, then e-commerce. We have seen knowingly or unknowingly we are using artificial intelligence in every sector. When we deeply engross ourselves in understanding what we are using, then we come to know there is a AI solution for it, and AI has been a part of it. So travel history, then domestic robots. Talk of any sector that surrounds us in this world, we have AI application for it. So what are those things that make up this AI? The concepts we know, machine learning, deep learning, convolutional neural network, data analytics, natural language processing, but these help us where, in what way? So these concepts that we learn, when we talk of different sectors where AI application is going to play a major role, in what form? In form of anomaly detection, in forms of production, in terms of automation. When I talk about Industry 4.0, then augmented reality, virtual reality, chatbots, video analytics. These are all the things that we see in how these concepts are turning up into applications. So when I tell prediction can be in any field of any business, in education field, in performance, evaluation, assessing, testing. So talk about any of these way of applications with these concepts in any of the sectors. These are the things that we are going to have as an application. So I would like to streamline mainly on some essential 7 technologies. What the NASCOM says is now artificial intelligence outlook is mainly done on robots, drones, and blockchain technology. I said never a technology stands alone on itself. It is an integrated technology with multidisciplinary, and says that blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality, Internet of Things, these are the essential 7 technologies which is making you smart and moving about in every sector. So coming to the theme of the webinar series, which says virtual reality. So is it a reality, virtual reality in reality? Is it virtual in reality? I go the other way. When we end up this, I just wanted to know how this artificial intelligence really goes on in virtual mode. So artificial intelligence forms the core of this. So we have interaction, we have controllers, we have virtual reality chats. We'll see how all this works. When I talk of virtual reality, I immerse myself in that real world and try to have a control over the surroundings that I am using. So that is 360-degree freedom I have. Then how do I interact with that environment where I do not exist at all, where I immerse myself in an environment, whether it's a real environment, a physical environment, or digitally, synthetically created environment, and how do I chat? So all these things are created through artificial intelligence. So just like what I spoke on digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation, what is that intelligentization now? So the buzzword that we see, the jargon of IT says now is intelligentization. What that intelligentization is? How do we make, this is the age of intelligence. This is the age of being smart. So the age of being smart is inculcating age of intelligence. How do I have that age of intelligence? done. So that is the AI dispensable technology. Learning methods are changed and learning means are changing. So where we are trying to integrate technology, education that mainly relies on AI to understand and keep up with customers' personalized needs from time to time. So what we are talking now is of education, which is general, not very specific, not a personalized education that we do get here. But if I am able to personalize my education, my learning, then that becomes intelligentization. So when all the children, see, when we talk about healthcare sector also, anybody who goes with a fever will all be given the same prescription of either it is a paracetamol, it's a dolo, that is what generic medicine. But what about this medicine which comes about very personalized medicines? I do not know how every patient is unique. Every body is a unique. If I am able to intelligently diagnose, prescribe, and give a very specific way of doing personalized medicines, personalized education, then that becomes an intelligence or intelligentization. Understand each one's needs, and based on that, if I am able to weave a fabric to it, then it becomes intelligentization. So that is where I see AI technology creating. And as education is moving, both integration of online and offline education more closely, how are we going to focus with this intelligentization? So what I see mainly in this is Internet of Things also play a main role with artificial intelligence that has come here to address. So when it comes to teaching students, person receiving education, we have various things. When I take education as a system, so it involves teaching, it involves learning, it involves assessing, testing, practicing. All these phases together become an education. So a teacher never does only teaching. It's a learning process for both student and teacher. So I would like to put, when I say teaching and learning, it is education contents. How do I adopt AI technology in developing these contents? And what are those tools that I need to use for assessing? Can AI help us in providing these tools? We have automatic question answer generators that are developed. So those are some of the tools that can be used in assessing and testing and AI education services in practicing. So how do I enable this AI in education sector? So personalized learning path, contents, the recommendations. When I start learning, suddenly, when I take MOOCs course, suddenly there pops up a pattern on my study, on my browsing. It finds out what are the contents that I can take up, what are the courses I could take up. So, and it also gives a report on a weekly basis, how I learn, what is the pattern of my study, analysis and prediction. Then this is how I need to assess myself, test myself, and test the students and behavior of the students to be taken for practicing. This is the AI has to do based on what type of solutions can I give with AI. So these are some of the applications that I see when it comes to AI. So talking about data and AI, when we talk about, we have seen the major recent about talking in COVID-19 also, how artificial intelligence played a major role. So the major role of artificial intelligence was played where disease surveillance using drones was done and using robots, then risk prediction analytics, diagnosis and screening remotely done, then curative researches on the proteins that were the evolving of the coronavirus, then virus modeling and analysis, then host identification. We see so many fake news coming onto the social media, which kept us a little bit panicked about it. Busting of this fake news. How do I come out of this fake news? So solutions through AI was given, then enforcing lockdown measures. So here I would like to tell that take off any field, the AI played an important role even during such pandemic. Suddenly adapting was difficult, but in many, many sectors it has helped. Right from machine learning algorithms, correlating patients' data parameters, then with how does it relate with a specific drug use case, correlation used to predict effect of the drugs. So these were they use the knowledge of the medical suppliers to prepare for the consequences. What medicines were sold out, the analytics of the drug pharmacists were used to predict the crisis of this pandemic. This is where artificial intelligence also played a role during this COVID-19. So the types of artificial intelligence, we cannot have, it was reactive machines that we had earlier where it didn't have much of memory and it couldn't store things. But now we have cloud and edge computing, as Morning Sir was telling. So either the computing can take place at our end, at a third party end, which is on demand basis that we get from cloud. So this memory issues are limited memory, which is going to be solved, that is going to happen in the future. But the observations are not stored in the memory permanently. That causes a serious note for the researchers. How do I extract this amount of data that is needed? A small amount of data is not sufficient for a machine learning or any type of network model that is going to learn it. Then theory of mind, as I was discussing, artificial intelligence is a culmination of psychology, sociology, economics, everything. But now psychology term, it understands. So what artificial, because we are mimicking the humans. So how human brain is going to make decision, how is it going to work? The same mimic. Can I understand the theory of a human mind translated into artificial intelligence, a machine? Which will it be able to understand the beliefs, desires, intentions that helps in making decision by a person? Can it be mimicked through a person? Really difficult to answer, but still yes. So when I go on an e-commerce website, it shows what all others are bought. That is a pattern it has learned. It understands my desires. So may not be completely, partially, it may be yes. Okay, it is understanding. That is where we stand now on this AI vertical. So it has its own consciousness, predicts feelings, very much aware of its current states also. But all this is possible only through data and AI. So role of data and AI in delivering economic value by 2025, as I said, because my talk is going to be on Vision 2025 with virtually a reality. So now coming to the data and AI, that could add the amount of economy to India's GDP by 2025 stands somewhere between 450 to 500 billion dollars. So very much aspirations towards this COVID-19 has brought misery, but along with that, it has brought opportunities and challenges together. So here, when we take contributing to this economic recovery that is taking place with social initiatives, growth, but the talent and capabilities to position India as the global hub for data and AI service is also increasing with us. So digitalization. So here when I tell data and AI, this has got to address both economic and social value creation as well as recovery. So here when these industry veterans globally have been echoing the same throughout, that is whatever we have seen in 2 years of digital transformation, we could see in 2 months of COVID-19. That is the amount that we see here in the role data and AI is going to play. So data is the new oil and AI is the engine which runs with this data oil. That is how I would like to put it. But to do all this, what is that AI has prepared? The AI stack that India is prepared to work with. So India needs data utilization across 5 building blocks. That is strategy. What are the strategies that India has made up? What is the data that they have? What is the amount of utilization of that data in the initiatives? What technology stack they are taking? And what is the talent available right now? And how do we execute this? These are the 5 steps on which India is right now working to promote data utilization and AI through these 5 building blocks. So this is the stack that gives, but this stack has got data information exchange layer. Then we have second layer, which is application layer, compute layer, where AI and ML plays a lot of role here. This is most needed role here. Under storage, then we have infrastructure layer. So how does this matter to us? How does it work out? So coming to this, when I talk about the strategies here, it tells about the Indian stacks. How does this Indian stack work here? So coming to this layers, each layer, when I talk application layer, so this talks about the services that are properly and legitimately programmed, a service framework to be provided, then how the transaction movement takes place across other layers, and how the logging management are put in place for auditing required at any point and at any time. How do I do this? So this part takes up in the application layer. But we have this data that is available for us to play this. So how do I do this? Is through the infrastructure that is available, then the information for the end customer's interface, what type of data, what content information, what consent has to be given to customers, what type of services do I give through secured gateway, then what are the digital rights that are protected, the ethical standards maintained, how do I have API access to this data, chatbot access, AIML apps. So these are all the applications that have to still come up with this to build up this stack. So when I talk about mainly the compute and AIML layer, which is very interesting, where everybody is working now as the compute layer. So this has to come with complete AI and ML, that is artificial intelligence with the machine learning analytics. So it has to create templates for data access and processing to ensure the algorithms framework is in place. So most of the algorithms, as Sir was telling, we could not detail out many of the algorithms because machine learning works in supervised, unsupervised, or it may be a hybridization of supervised and unsupervised learning. So how do I prove it out? Because all it is about algorithm computation that takes place in this layer. So process, either it's a natural language processing or decision trees or random forest, many to have even Kitty when we talk about algorithms. And when we talk about AML algorithms, how do I model them? What is the network models that I use? Whether it's deep learning, neural network, convolution neural network, ensemble, which is now in the existence. And these are some of the network models. And when I train this model, and how do I predict this? What are the predictive models that I should use? Or whether should I go to cognitive models or just stop with the predictive models? And whether data engineering has to be done, sandboxing has to be done, data integration, how do I scale this data and give it to the end user? At the end is how do I map the different technologies and rule execution? All this has to be put in this layer of compute layer, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning with a set of defined data structures and algorithms. So when I talk this data that is needed for computation, before processing, after computing, everything is fine. But where do I get this data from? What is the storage that I need? How the storage has to be worked? How are we trying to archive this data in a fashion for easy access whenever queried? Either I should ensure hot data or cold data or warm data that are stored in appropriate fashion, so that end user experiences a good retrieval or extraction of information. So when it comes to infrastructure layer, so common data controllers, multi-cloud, already cloud edge computings we have, where cloud scenarios, private, public, or here also we talk about hybridization. So this encryption, minimization of cloud end, monitoring, and either any of the layer I take here and I talk, it is the layer that engrosses everything is security and governance. So this is a cross-cutting layer across all the layers, so that AI services, whatever we provide to any type of sector, any type of application, any technology, using any technology, I need security at all these layers, either it is application, computation, storage, infrastructure. I need security, and I see that AI services to be safe, secure, privately protected, trusted, assured. These are some of the things when we talk about security, when we talk about governance, what type of transparency that is given to the customers and to the people working at AI industry. So this stack is adopted by India of AI as a vision for 2025. So we see AI developments through data availability, 17 billion connected, because we are talking a lot about smart devices, smart connectivity, smart cities. So we see 17 billion connected devices by end of 2020. That was a forecast given. And we see data storage, then new learning algorithms with the type of storage devices that are newly coming up, then developing new rules to perform complex tasks. The old methods do not integrate with this. So legacy systems, how do I go with the legacy systems and adapt to the new technologies with new rules coming in? So remote processing power, computing power, that is most needed for this amount of data that is going to generate with the 17 billion connected devices or sensors. When smart cities come up, every sector connected together. So these are all algorithmic innovations take place with the deep learning, convolution neural networks, ensemble learning, so many things coming up. The public empowerment here needs is algorithmic literacy, which is a basic skill. So just using is not sufficient, but to use it also, we need basic understanding of the role of algorithms, autonomous decision makings. So this has to be identified and must be suitable to delegate to an artificial intelligence. How I should be able to operate using the societal norms, then provide the public with that information. It is not just giving, we have to be trained with that data, advisable due to what part, that is what I was telling, security plays at all layers, the security risk, but the public should be provided with enough information to make it possible, to question its outcome. So that ethical standards, do we still have to accept AI? So we have legal certainty, then liability. Suppose if I have given an autonomous vehicle, if it undergoes an accident, who has to be penalized? Whether as a user I should be penalized, or should the vehicle manufacturer be penalized, or the distributor to be penalized, or the showroom person has to be penalized? So these are the legal aspects that we look into. So legal certainty and how existing laws, policies applies to algorithmic decision making. So algorithmic decision making, when I make on a small program, it is fine. But when it is a question that I'm going to use it on roads as autonomous vehicles are making in ways, legal certainty is also a question mark. So these people have to work with experts from all disciplines, identify potential gaps, run legal scenarios, put users' interest in the center, and see how adversely it affects the interests of the users and the solution providers. So this is how just a glimpse on AI is going to work. But AI in a virtual reality all started in 1950 with Morton Haig building a single console called Sensorama. So this was a 3-dimensional television. So now, as the question of the webinar says, virtuality in reality. So yes, virtuality in reality, because AI is turning machine into humans. Yes, because AI can see through computer vision. AI can speak through natural language processing. We have seen Alexa, Siri. Then AI that can hear, AI that can move, robots. Then AI that can smell. See, a new artificial nose can smell if food goes bad. AI that can feel. We were talking about when we connect virtually, most of the times when we are talking and we have debates on how good is AI, online learning, virtual learning, because we are not able to connect. Till now, machines were just thinking, but now machines are able to feel. So that is AI that can feel. That means AI is becoming an intelligence with the ability to see, hear, speak, smell, feel, understand gestures, interface with your brain, and also thought computing that is coming, that is for computing. You have a chip on your brain and it delegates to the other. That is where AI stands now, right now. So virtual reality is feeling the imaginary world rather than the real. You feel the imaginary world around you, immersed into you, by running a simulation in a computer, by creating 3D environments, interact with alternate reality. So the definition of virtual is near, and reality is what we experience as human beings. That is, virtuality in reality is what I would like to tell on this day. But people also, we also talk sometimes synonymously, virtual reality, augmented reality, just these are become trend words everybody speaks of. But there is actually, when we walk onto this deep, there is a lot of difference between virtual reality, augmented reality, and a merged reality, which is both virtual and which is intertwined, VR and AR. So virtual reality is a digital environment where I have a digital environment, completely digital environment. I enclose myself with some synthetic experience with no sense of the real world. So that becomes your virtual reality. So when I come to augmented reality, what I see is real world with digital information overlay. So real world remains central, but you experience by some virtual details, by having an embedded or overlay of this digital content. So that becomes augmented reality. It is an addition to your real world, but you will not enter completely into a virtual world. But whereas in virtual reality, we enter into a completely digital environment. It adds upon to your real world, that becomes an augmented reality. But coming to the merged reality, where we are talking, real and virtual both are intertwined. That is, manipulation of both physical and virtual environment takes place through some of the devices and resources that we use in this virtual reality to see the real world. So the virtual reality has basic, classification or categorization takes place with the basic virtual reality and an enhanced virtual reality. So that basic is again handheld, monitor based, and enhanced talks completely. That is where we see in gaming, simulation models we see. Then partially, fully immersive, and partially immersive will be having projectors, then monocular head based. When we tell fully immersive, the complete room based, binocular head based. So these are some of the classifications that we see based on the type of devices and the type of virtual reality that is created around us by virtual resources that are available. So how do I make it a virtual reality? So here, what I see here is presence, perception, and virtual reality. That is human perception through sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. So the perception of this reality, to make it virtuality, to make it a virtual one, AI should be able to understand the world through the 5 senses which human beings do. That is, sight through eyes, hearing through ears, touch with the skin, taste with the tongue, and smell with the nose that humans do. Will I be able to mimic all the senses so that I feel the reality converted into a virtual world? Yes. So the 2 basic processes that makes this to perceive the reality into a virtual form are sensation, that is gathering of information, and perception, interpreting. Just gathering of that information is sensing. But how do I interpret that sensed information becomes perception. So this perception is done by being in one place of an environment physically, but you are feeling your presence somewhere else, situated in somewhere else. That makes your presence. So being in one place or environment, even when physically you are situated in some other place. So this becomes your virtual reality by using the presence, with these two processes of sensation and perception. So this perception model, creating the illusion of reality of things, is put into a good definition, is fooling human perception by using technology to generate artificial sensations. Sight, sound, artificially I'm going to create this. This also gives a question mark telling the dangers where some of our organs may become absolute also. Because everything is done artificially. Will brain be an absolute later after some point of time is another question mark that we see. So virtuality in reality was a question mark for this webinar. I would like to put where how a virtuality and a reality differ. So reality, a world or environment sensed through human senses, what I spoke about here, sound, smell, touch, through different 5 sense organs that we have. And the consciousness, the brain thinks about it and takes an action and it goes back again. But here in a virtual reality, there are input and output devices. Instead of your eye, nose, ear, and all this, you are replacing them through input and output devices that will come as an addendum for this. So this virtual reality is also sensed, but this virtual reality through some output devices will culminate this sense conscious action, and that action is given by some input devices back to the virtual reality. That means we are replacing these through some input and output devices for the same phase of work which a human being would have done. So that converts it into a virtual reality. So reality now versus virtuality. So this was virtuality and reality. Now reality versus virtuality, where I would like to speak is what I do is I simulate this real scene, then map that simulated scene to some devices through graphics, head-mounted devices, then use devices to simulate the senses, simulate eyes. So a simple example here, what I've taken is visual simulation through a 3D graphics card, through what we see is human-machine interface, very much in reality. Through a head-mounted display to a vision system and then to the human brain. How is he going to perceive and see? So here I have 3 layers. How a brain, human has eyes, ears, hands to touch, then speech. These all are converted into human-machine interface. Human to human, human to machine, machine to human. These are some interfaces which are really taking up a lot of scope of work. So here when I talk human to machine interfaces, there are different types of devices that I see. For vision, it is your display devices. Then when I hear, it is your audio devices that I need to have. When I see a touch, it is your haptic gloves that comes with sensory devices. So these will have different sensors that will take up the input, give it to your simulation system, and then come to a solution through your artificial intelligence model. So this is how reality is converted into a virtuality to different phases that it walks through. So when I tell it is immersive virtual reality, are you into, or it is non-immersive virtual reality, or it is an hybridization of virtuality. So whether you are present in a non-physical world or a physical world. So here when I talk of immersive virtual reality, it is perception of being physically present in a non-physical world. So when you are not present in the physical world and you are trying to show your presence into that non-physical world by taking that experience by physical interaction, physical feedback. You should have a freedom of movement, human vision to be done, then continuity of surroundings without any break. Then only you can have that presence done. So non-immersive virtuality doesn't surround the user, but you will be seeing that on a display and you feel as if you are there in the environment. The third type of virtual reality is desktop-based virtual reality, where this includes a 3-dimensional virtual or regular desktop display without any specialized movement tracking environment. So when I say your whole environment is getting mimicked, it gets you into that world without physically being there, presence of yours, then what all skills need to be given and what are the resources that we really need to make this reality into a virtuality. So these are some of the devices that we need, because we have seen the difference between virtuality and reality. So when I make a real environment into a virtual environment, the steps that are the tools that we need here is some devices as input and output devices. So that is world-grounded input devices. That is, these are devices fixed in real world, non-tracked handheld controllers. That is, these are devices held in hand but not tracked in 3D. Then handheld controller. Mainly, these are all used in gaming things, and now we see in telemedicine, lot of role played in telemedicines. Hand-warmed devices. So I would like to show through these figures. So devices that are used in virtual reality. So Razer Hydra, Leap Motion Controller Box, Controller Virtual Reality through haptic gloves, then the Magic Wand, then the controllers through STEM, the headsets and head mount display, then 3D audio for sense of audios, HeliSync, sensing gloves, that is what I said, touch sense, how do an AI get and touch sense to sensing gloves, haptic gloves that we see. So these are some of the devices, some of the resources that are necessary to make your environment into a virtual environment. What the properties? Any normal input device cannot work for your virtual reality or augmented reality or your merged reality. The size, shape, degrees of freedom, because you have to move in an environment which is integrated, separable, direct, indirect. So relative, which measures a difference between correct and the last, relative inputs, absolute inputs, then position control. So these are some properties which your devices have, just like how a mouse moves, how a joystick moves. So these are some of the properties that your input devices should have. So one example I would like to take here, your head-mounted display, which is a common augmented reality device that we use. So lens, when I talk about the lens, it should talk about the focal length, what field of view, then eye relief, eye box. When I talk about the display, it is resolution, power, brightness, what is the frame refreshing rate, is it raster scan, what are the jitters. So when I talk about ergonomics, it is size, weight, wearability, because everything has to be taken as a feasibility study when I design. Because earlier morning sir was talking about design thinking. Anything that has to come out as a product has got all these three. Ergonomics also plays an important role. So size, weight, wearability, because it is a head-mounted display. I can have thousands of features, but ergonomics plays a role with what amount of features that I can have onto my HMT. So this is not ideal for virtual reality world-grounded devices because it is static and it constrains the portability and mobility of the users. So, but it is used in Disneyland, used in location-based in entertainment lands. Some of the tracking devices are active devices, passive devices, and hybrid tracking. So active devices send out signals, then passive devices for sensing the world, and hybrid tracking both for vision and inertia. This can be used because you are moving an environment in which you are not there. So these are some of the devices which use different technology. Either it is mechanical, magnetic, or it is a Wi-Fi based for your active devices to send a signal, transmission and recipient both. Then sensor devices which are going to sense when the computer vision, accelerometer, gyroscope, compass, because you keep moving. So we need to track when we are in virtual reality because you need to move, turn your head, hands, VR graphics scene changes, want to walk through a virtual scene, grab out a virtual object. So tracking is a must. Head trackers, hand trackers, these are available in variant forms. So we see virtual reality in various sectors: healthcare, military, scientific visualization, environment, because virtual reality, as I say, is a subset of artificial intelligence. So wherever AI plays a role, I can see virtual reality also playing a role into it. So this was a famous documentary that came on the National Geographical Channel. So this engages large, that is a VR documentary, virtual reality documentary, where you are walking in the ranger's shoes. So this is a beautiful documentary. I request everybody to go through this documentary. The Protectors Walk in the Ranger's Shoes is a documentary where you walk yourself in a virtual environment. So till now we were saying data analytics. Now it is virtualitics data. It is not just data analytics. It is virtualitics, data analytics in a virtual reality environment. So it is virtualitics, what we are talking now in a virtual reality or augmented reality environment through machine learning and artificial intelligence. Analytics till now was in 2D, but now we can see in 3D forms also. So that is virtualitics. So the benefits of artificial intelligence or virtual learning will mirror the real life situations, that is through visualization, mimicking real life situations, then expertization, learning that experiencing in a less time. Then you have remote guided tools, remote collaboration. So these are some of the things that benefits the learning of AI and virtual learning. But the other benefit of VR learning is it comes out in, it cuts out expenses on travel, transporting, equipment to training locations. Then it increases the engagement between the clients, between the people, mostly used in gamification for fun, and trainings engaged and interested. Retention is more when it comes to engagement. So there is a scope for learning through mistakes. So mistakes are to be done. That gives you real experience of learning. But training for hazardous environment where humans cannot go and do this training, this is a boon for those people in mining, then space. So these are some of the things. Better analytics plays an important thing. So these are some of the tools and resources that I see for virtual reality. Given an opportunity, I would really come up with one session later, a point of time on VR resources, ER kit and MR kits given. So Facebook Design uses VR resources for their virtual reality creations, and Apple has come up with beautiful ER kit with so many tools in it, and Microsoft HoloLens mixed reality kit. So these all have come with their own augmented reality kits and virtual reality kits, and many are open source virtual reality kits that are available to fun with and play. So joy of learning can be seen with this virtual learning kits. So these are some of the tools and resources which you can explore for further learning. So companies that are leading in virtual reality are Google, Samsung, Oculus, Sony, and these are what are the devices that I recently discussed. These have come out with really good devices of input-output to make virtual reality experience to a greater extent. So coming to the main talk that I was intended to talk, where vision of 2025 globally and where India stands globally in the AI market. With the VR and AR market size, I see healthcare, engineering, talk of any sector, virtual reality and augmented reality is intruding here. Video games, live events, with this split up share where consumer is $18.9 billion. So totally $35 billion is a market size that I see, that we see. So to create this market size, I should have IoT, which creates data, networks, that is 5G is already come in place now. So 5G, that is communicating, aggregating, integration of legacy systems with the AI technology, then prediction models for analyzing, then augmented behavior. Here comes your virtual reality and augmented reality that I'm going to see. So this becomes a complete platform AI solution as a vision that is led by 2025, which needs Internet of Things, smart communication, 5G networks coming into AI as an aggregate platform, prediction models, then I see virtual reality. This three comes from AI section. What I see here is sensors, a smart machine, still fancier, edge computing with servers talking. Data is collected. Then through internet connectivity, I have here this AI, complete AI model. So the big data, some type of analytics model, predictive analytics or prescriptive model or edge analytics I can apply on this big data that is collected through various devices that are connected from home, industry, anywhere around, then applying some computational algorithm through it. Now speaking about cognitive intelligence, more than artificial intelligence, it is cognitive intelligence that has come into existence. Apply this and the computed data to be given for different applications to the society and to the users, and that will be stored in a cloud, that is data centers. So for all this, what I need is cyber security. So the cyber security, what I talk is now blockchain technology. See, this complete solution, what I give AI system is of all new technologies. When I talk big data, when I talk cloud for storage, when I talk smart with the Internet of Things, when I talk computing, intelligence, it is cognitive intelligence, combined with the blockchain technology, which comes as on security. And when I talk to do all this, I need connectivity, which is a real challenge that is coming out as a 5G network that we are waiting for using it. So in a nutshell, AI has got a lot of algorithms in the core, that is random forest, logistic regression, linear decision, support vector machine, so genetic programming, then inverse deduction. So all this goes into research methods, Bayesian, evolutionary, symbolism, then analogizers, then the AI technologies which is going to use these research methods with these algorithms turn out to be in the form of expert system, computer vision, knowledge extraction, robotics, then natural language processing, many to tell, in the form of different sectors. So technology support, how do I have for this, right from algorithms to methods, then applying this to different areas of application, I need the technology support. That technology support is provided by sensors, chips, data, software framework. We saw what framework is adopted by India for AI Vision 2025, the infrastructure layer, then AI compute layer, then data layer, application layer. So that software framework will be used, then the cloud services. So after talking all these things, there is a part of criticism that comes into AI. AI won't be able to understand customer specific problems. If your query is not part of the list, then you feel cheated. Then may not pick up on human cues if not programmed accordingly, may not know that something is worth learning. Will it be able to learn if not programmed? Difficult in explaining exact problems, then lack of ability to contextualize the situation, then standard responses, issues are too generalized. That was what I was speaking. Until you are personalized, your programs, your machines are not intelligent. So these are some of the criticisms that AI solutions are got. Which solutions can be called AI solutions, which cannot be called on AI solutions. If these criticisms are addressed, then we can say that solution is an AI solution. So challenges what we face here is whether AI is important to solve societal issues, then daily commute, would you rather ride in a self-driving car or route designed by an algorithm? So what impact will AI have on Indian business and consumers? Do you believe AI advisor would be less fair or biased in giving decisions, promotions and raises? So these are all the challenges. And I do not want to take much on this artificial intelligence. Every company, see the number of companies working in AI. So it is virtual personal assistant, right now 71 companies, machine learning 96, machine learning applications, apps 201 companies, vision 97. So there are everything you take, there are a lot of companies working on different sectors. So natural language processing. So this is, but where are we standing right now in the scale of low to high, the market scale, industry penetration through different things, where it starts low from germination. The quadrant is divided into 4 quadrants, which says about low to high in the market scale as well as industry penetration. So when I talk about public utilities, smart city, energy, it is in germination layer. But when I tell about digital government, it is in transition, moving from germination to transition, that is high. And when it is growth, market scale is in a moving way on autonomous driving, then communication media services, and developed our retail, education, financial, and manufacturing. These are the 4 quadrants into which AI industry is divided into. So there is a lot of scope in germination and transition, and these are already developed. We see a less scope, and the scope here also is high in these 3 quadrants. So global AI market size says, Forbes says that by 2025, it is $7 billion trillion that is going to be there, right from 17 to 25, what I see this. By industry, when it goes by industry, different industry have different growth size. That is till 2025, you can see $10 billion based on different sector, manufacturing sector, telecommunication, automobiles, trade, retail. But where we see large scope of AI including into industry market sizes is in manufacturing. So that goes tall and tall. And I think public utilities is a lesser on the other side. But we still see on industry size, we see it by 2025, $10 million on different sectors. So last but not the least, AI is in role of PM's vision. Our Honorable Prime Minister's vision for India by 2025, we see in agriculture, logistics and mobility, where 2 times farmer income has to be increased by using AI solutions in form of precision farming, production planning, crop failure production. Then when it comes to logistic and mobility, 60,000 kilometers off-road construction, that is geospatial data converting and optimizing the routes, that would increase. Then traffic pattern analysis using AI. Then credit loans for MSMEs, AI in financial services, 100 plus lakh crores. Then health and wellness centers in healthcare, remote diagnostic treatment, health resource allocation. So we have this. Then AI for MSME, technology centers for exposing MSMEs to AI, that is again 150. So then renewable energy capacity, demand prediction, energy demand production management, asset utilization. So all this will amount to $5 trillion Indian economy by 2025 if AI is used with a Prime Minister's framework that is given by Niti Aayog by 2025 according to PM's vision. So this is how AI vision for AI by Prime Minister is done for India by 2025 in different sectors, and what contribution and where it has to contribute. So we see the GDP growth with data and AI, $450 to $500 billion by 2025. This is how Indian GDP is predicted. This prediction is also done by data analytics, which is a part of AI solution. So examples for using Arduino, this is what we see, both on agriculture, consumer goods, bank loans. So the last thing that I want to talk on this is black box versus explainable. See, already that's what I had in the initial beginning. Which program, which is to be called as intelligent, which should not be called as intelligent. So black box, till now, whatever we have developed applications are black box application, but now what the application where we need the skill sets to make the Vision 2025 a reality is this part. So black box AI application will not lead us to Vision 2025, but explainable AI application leads us to the Vision 2025, grand vision of 2025 AI by Niti Aayog. The criticisms will be addressed here. Earlier, it was just training data, some machine learning model applied, learned function it would do, decision recommendation based by the grand realization of this Vision 2025 by Niti Aayog for AI solutions and AI to be a global market. India stands in the global market. We need explainable AI applications where the same model training data, but new machine learning process which uses explainable model, explainable interfaces. Learning function is divided into these two models, where a user should be able to understand why this decision, why this recommendation was made, why not other recommendation was made, not made, whether why I have to trust it. It should be able to understand. Then why it aired out, why it failed, why it succeeded. It should be explainable with ethical and legal precedents added to it. This is what the development is now into this phase, and this is what is need of the hour for Vision 2025. Explainable AI, where learned function, this is already existing from long back, but this is now what is explainable AI application that needs. So what the future holds is, our future is balanced mix between artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, and a mixed reality. So now already by the time I started preparing, thinking about virtual reality in reality, a webinar, I came across another jargon, extended reality, XR. XR is the future. So extended reality, combining real, virtual, human machine interaction added to it. Till now we were AR and VR, but now extended reality. So this takes up human machine interaction and with the workers. So this will become the center of attraction. Virtual reality is there, augmented reality is there, mixed reality, but now the services that are provided comes under extended reality. So again, it covers all the sectors. So XR will become the future with these platforms embedded into it or integrated into it. So when we talk all about this, the future, the augmented, virtual, MR, extended reality, because all this has to be provided as a service. So that service is through extended reality. But to have this realization, there comes a question, the future skills. So what we madam and sir discussed, lot of job openings are there, job opportunities are there. Along with those opportunities comes twice the exponential times of challenges that we have. As the challenge, what the employers say, what the industry says is 87% of top CEOs managements says have concerns regarding the availability of key skills for AI. So they don't find the skills in the people to make AI into a reality. So 87% of CEOs, top CEOs and management have this question. How do I do this AI? So to have this, there should be a grand goals. Everybody, all of us as a teaching fraternity, that has a lot of responsibility on us to create students who are more employed, to address this question mark of 87%, to setting up goals, visions, knowledge, dissemination, the interest and skills to be built up to the students with the interest, skills, setting up goals with clear ethical and moral values and capabilities to have a good career, which this 87% would be addressed through the careers which our students are going to take up. So that is our responsibility also. So the skill sets that everybody should have is experience in training, competence, learning, knowledge. This is generalized, every skill, but how you take up these skills in coming out and working in an artificial intelligence environment to develop solutions for this, to the realizing of 2025 AI world is on a finishing note. The new truth is the total amount of jobs there is a hype that AI is going to take away the jobs. There will be a recession. Jobs will be lost due to automation. No, the new truth of this is jobs have increased despite the increased level of automation, any technology in its place. Germany has done a study, and the likely scenario says that 350,000 new jobs will be created by manufacturing, only by manufacturing industry by 2025. Even if I say robots, everything is involved here, drone technology, robotic, but still these many jobs will be created. 350,000 new jobs only in manufacturing sector. But only thing is the role of the workers will change. The work will not be lost, but the role of the workers will change, where skilled operators will be taken up, and machines which are performing at their best will be replaced by the skilled operators. So some possible future roles: industrial data scientists, robot coordinators. So automation is growing fast, skill also has to grow fast. So the finishing note is there will be no job loss as per, but the way of working as a service provider to those things, the role, the skills will change. And those skills have to be embedded through different means of learning, that is training, competence, learning, knowledge, ability. So concluding this, I would like to tell these were the references that I have used for my presentation today. And on the end of a finishing note, I acknowledge a deep sense of gratitude to the authors of the papers, articles, web resources that I have referred for this presentation. And I also thank Department of CSC, VVM, the Sri Damodar College of Commerce and Economics, Margova, and ICFAI Business School, Bangalore, and the organizers. The special thanks to Professor Biku Bave and Professor Ekta Agarwal for providing this platform to share and learn about virtual reality and under artificial intelligence. Thank you.
So it is now time for the Q&A session. We are extremely sorry as we will need to cut this session short due to time constraints. However, we have selected few questions from the ones received from the participants. The first question is directed to Professor Santosh. Adversarial data in AI could lead to faulty research and would give rise to negative situations. So the question is, how do we minimize adversarial data, especially in critical areas such as medicine?
Okay. All right. Am I audible?
Santosh sir?
Yeah. Am I audible? Ma'am, can you just put the question on the chat box? That will be easy.
Are you there?
Yeah. Can you just type the question or just copy the question on the chat box? I'm finding some communication gap. So could you please just copy that and paste it?
Sir, can't hear.
Yeah, okay, because yeah, please go ahead. Okay, thank you. All right. So I can see.
So the question is, adversarial data in AI could lead to
I got it.
and would give rise to negative situations. So the question is, how do we minimize adversarial data?
Okay. Okay. Fine. The problem what happens is, okay, I got that because there is some communication gap. So that's one of the reason I was asking you. I hope I'm audible. Now, what really happens is when it comes to medical data, please remember one thing, that this type of big data technologies and everything is not very much new when it comes to medical research. So this unorganized data was there when MRI scan itself was actually invented. I mean, say when it was being put up, but that type of control is not existing. So today we have a better system, and you have a better, what I can say, the filters that are available. And through this filtering process, I mean, so like it is a too short time for me to explain the algorithms and the mechanism, but I'm very sure that adversarial data you can obviously avoid by means of, whenever there is a fault that comes into the data that leads to some sort of error, which has happened now in the case of COVID vaccine also. But at the same time, it doesn't affect in terms of what you call as if you apply right filters at the right time. So that is what exactly. And there are mechanisms by which you can really work on. There shouldn't be any problem. Okay. So if you are really on a particular field, especially when it comes to medicinal data, yeah. Or I can say clinical data. Okay, rather I'm using a wrong word. It's a clinical data. Yeah.
The next question is for Dr. Shweta. The question is, what is meant by intelligent agent in AI?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Audible.
Right. So in the context of, when we were talking about the role of data analytics, and then we are using certain algorithms which are inbuilt learning process, which is there. So there can be three ways. You can have human intelligence there. There could be, the robotics or robots can be a part of intelligent agent. And nowadays we talk about the softwares. The softwares which have that kind of, the experiential learning which is happening in the background, which really helps to answer to the different kind of questions which are coming, or what is the next course of action which need to be performed by the respective application. So you create it, and in the process, the application, if it is a software, it also learns through the various symptoms or whatever case scenarios which are already inbuilt in it. So you create a kind of a knowledge engine there. So that's how it is. So you are creating, giving an intelligence to that application. Okay, so that is what an intelligent element of that application. Okay.
Next question is for Dr. Bharti, and we have received this from our YouTube viewers. How do we secure IoT devices when they are interacting with each other and they are sharing info?
Hello.
I repeat, ma'am. How do we secure IoT devices when they are interacting with each other and sharing info?
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Repeat.
Repeat.
The question is, how do we secure IoT devices when they are interacting with each other and sharing info?
Yeah. See, when IoT devices, when we say billions of devices are connected, so the security at different layers, as I said, right from collection of data to the data that is stored and visualized, where do we want the security? Security at all layers I do want. So security starts from the user level where data is collected at the sensors. So I have some ways of storing that data, collecting data and transmitting through some encryption methods. And when it goes to the other end, that is the clouds where I store or data visualization, it carries another layer of storing this data in an archived form, which is again an encryption and decryption through different algorithms I can take. Based on the security layers that I want to have, whether I want to have a single layer of security or 2 layers of security, or the type of security layers I do want to have. I mean, based on that, I can define what type of security has to be adopted and what. See, when I talk about security, it is security to the resources or security to the information. These connected devices, catastrophic security I can give, and the security to the data through different algorithms that run into it. So now we are talking all about blockchain technologies. So even a single block is removed, then we come to know that the data is hacked and the security can be addressed. So these are some things where it is set and forget it is not the example here for IoT devices. We need a lot of security to be put at each layer to be woven into, so that right from sensors to the storage and visualization, the data is secured. Either it is RSA algorithm, DES, any type of security encryption algorithms that we take will keep the contents intact and secure. And when I talk about devices security, it is physical security that needs to be addressed on these IoT devices. So Federal Bureau of Investigation has given many cybersecurity improvement tasks and security to these IoT developments. So there are tools.
Due to time constraints, we shall stop the Q&A session here. Participants, kindly let us know your valuable feedback by filling out the feedback form. The feedback form link for the webinar has been shared on YouTube, WhatsApp groups, and to your registered email ID. Feedback link shall remain open until 6 p.m. today. We have come to the end of this highly enriching and informative webinar. On this note, I would like to call our webinar coordinator and my colleague, Mr. Bhikkhu Bhave, kindly propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Akshada. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks. On behalf of Department of Computer Science and VUM Sri Damodar College, I am here to propose the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I place on record my sincere thanks to Dr. Santosh Ribelu sir for his valuable keynote address. Thank you, sir. You have given a lot of insight into the subject. I am thankful to Dr. Shweta Puni for a wonderful presentation and for being with us. She has told a lot of factual information regarding the data and the value of data. I place on record my sincere gratitude to Dr. Bharti Madam for her presentation in Vision 2025. She also enlightened the vision of our PM, Shri Narendra Modi ji, and how we can work towards it. Thank you, Bharti Madam. We are very much thankful to our Council Chairperson, Ekta Madam, for supporting us and guiding us throughout our session, for Council Chairperson. I will failing in my duties if I don't thank our Principal and our Vice Principal for their support and encouragement, and also our management for giving us the permission to go ahead with this webinar. I must not forget, we have around 640 registrations online. Due to Google constraint, all people cannot be accommodated. So we have shared, we have live streaming we have done on YouTube also. So we have more than 640 registrations for this webinar what you have planned. And I must thank all the participants who were attended or who have attended through YouTube, all the participants for being patient. I know we set time at 1, but it has extended. So I thank you for your patient listening and hearing. Thank you, each one of you present over here. Last but not the least, I must thank the technical team and my colleagues in the department. If their support is not there, this kind of national webinar would have not been possible. I thank each and every one of you. I thank all the department staff and the technical team for supporting us in organizing and successfully conducting this webinar. I thank our HOD for his support and cooperation and always words of encouragement throughout this webinar. I thank each one of you present over here. If I missed anyone, still a big thank you to each and every one. Thank you. You can fill the feedback form or you will receive an e-certificate, and the feedback form will be open till 6 p.m. only. Thank you once again. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Once again, I would like to thank all the participants of this webinar for being such a wonderful audience. We hope to see you again. Thank you and have a nice day.